I've always been a little bit nervous about the amount of people, because I'm typically, I think I lean more towards like more spread out from people kind of hike. But it was so cool to just see so many different people from all over the world and get to talk to people from different places and run into them like you do on a through hike. You're just like, oh, I saw you in this last town, and like now I see you again, and just like chat. And I really appreciated that aspect.
Welcome to Backpack Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by LMNT. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
I am Juliana Chaunce, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Hello.
Elise. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure whether I should introduce you or not, because you've been a host, you've been a guest, you've been everything.
All around.
Yeah.
Jack
Elise
of all
here.
trades.
Elise
Hi.
is here. And she's the guest today, because we're going to talk about her recent hike in Portugal. But first, I've got a few reminders before we get to that. The most important one, and we're getting timely here, we are 11 days away from our live podcast, the Chaunce send-off, the extravaganza. This one is going to be an all-timer. We've done a handful of live podcasts, and it is our mission to make this the best of them all. Send Chaunce off with a bang.
I forgot that when you were saying the time just now that you were accounting for when this went out, and I almost just threw up in my mouth when you said there's 11 days. Because I was like, oh my God, I need to like leave like tomorrow. I need to start packing more.
You're so in the present.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even understand podcast timelines.
I know, but yeah, you should come. It is in Denver. We've done live shows here before, so we have tested it and can say with certainty that it is a great venue. It is a lot of fun, and everyone hangs out afterwards and chats, so it's also like a fun little meetup. And yeah, we had a really good time last time, and we would like to see you this time before I fade into the mist.
Yes, and we're hosting this on a Friday night, so you can be hungover for the weekend without being a bum at your job. Yeah, like Tron said, this is going out the Skylark. This is going to be, the show starts at 6:30, doors are at 6, and we're going to do a raffle. It's going to be amazing. This is the Tron send-off. It would be not right for this to not be the biggest party of all time, and we would be remiss to not have you guys there, so please show.
Yeah. I want to say goodbye.
Yeah. There you go.
I'll be crying.
Me too.
Everyone will be drunk, and I think everyone will be crying.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
Happy tears and sad tears.
Yeah.
For
What do you
sure.
mean happy tears?
Like bittersweet tears.
Yeah, okay.
I just don't want it to
I
sound
saw
so
you ask
depressing.
for the co-host link today.
That-
Coincidence, right?
I wouldn't even.
Chaunce is getting territorial already. Back off, bitch.
Totally fair. Impossible shoes to fill.
It's all right. You didn't ask for my chair today like Jabba did last time.
Ooh. See, yeah, I know better than that. No, I'm just in charge of the DMs, guys. You know this. People are asking.
Uh-oh. Next is, if you are hiking the CDT this year, as of this episode, this is primarily directed at northbounders, but I guess if you're listening to this later in the season, northbound or southbound, submit yourself as a guest. One of the very few positives of running the ship solo is that there's going to be a lot more flexibility in timing with stuff. Obviously, Chaunce has a 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 is the Trek, so if you're passing through, I can likely or possibly swing an interview just about at any given time. So I want to talk to you guys hiking north. I'm guessing like Herman Gulch, or Chaunce could probably speak to this, or Elise could speak to this. What is it? Herman Gulch or Berthoud Pass are the places to get to Golden?
Probably. And honestly, if they're coming through Summit, so like Breckenridge, and I could potentially give people rides too.
Co-host
See, now she's building
swoop
her
up.
case. I get it.
She's just going to be slowly nudging you out of the frame by the end of the
Hey,
episode.
Elise has my vote. If I am endorsing a future candidate.
Not
Oh my
Jabba?
God.
I heard you
Yeah,
talking in
maybe.
the background that you would love
Maybe.
for Jabba to be taking your seat.
It's a tough one for me. It's a toss-up.
We'll check in at the end of the episode, but yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. And also if they want to stop by Outer Range while they're in town, if I'm there, I enjoy giving Trail Magic beers. So
Yeah. And we are all recipients of said trail magic. I'm drinking a delicious Lift Snacks from Outer Range.
Yeah.
5%.
It's one of our most popular sours.
It's popular with my taste buds right now.
Sweet.
So yes, the link to submit yourself will be in the show notes. You can also just send me a DM directly on Instagram, ZR Davis. Next is, if you are not already subscribed to the Trex newsletter, what the hell are you doing? This is the place that we go to post all of our job opportunities, and it's still my ambition in probably Q3 or 4 of this year to be posting a new full-time job opportunity. This is where we put out our best content, exclusive gear deals, etc., etc. So if any of that sounds up your alley, definitely subscribe to the Trex newsletter. And last but certainly not least is patreon.com/backpackerradio is where you can go to support us. And importantly, this is going to be mine and Chaunce's sandbox once she's 2 time zones to the right.
Yes, she's gone but not forgotten, because you can still find me there. And, the world is our oyster with what we can do with it. Who knows? If you have ideas, you can let us know on Patreon. We get those messages and put a lot of weight into your suggestions. But yeah, we're going to try to find a way to keep things rolling in some capacity.
Have you been in touch with other like outdoorsy folk in the area being like, oh, we do a hike club every other day and can't wait to go out in the mountains with you?
No.
I'm sure it exists.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm friends with Julia. She's going to live like 30 minutes from where I am.
Oh,
and
sweet.
then Heidi lives like 2.5 hours away. And Jess lives like 3 hours. So they're not like close, but I mean,
Close enough
we'll
for
go
backpacking.
camping together. Yeah.
There's got to be a collection of thru hikers out that way, I
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Raleigh. So Charlotte, I know they have them.
Yeah.
They have like a Tuesday trail talk or trail something.
Was that at the brewery that Heidi used to work at?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going anymore. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know if they are.
Yeah.
She still talks about it, so I don't know if she's just still in touch with those people or if they're still actually all meeting.
Okay.
But I know she still mentions like that in conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actively going, but anyway, I know about that one, and I've been to one of those, but I have not. I don't know anything about Raleigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, worst case scenario, we know that Asheville is another really good spot for the
Yeah.
hiking community.
I just like hope that I can find some friends that are maybe closer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you're really thirsty for like hiker trash conversation, 2.5 hour
just
drive, that's like
go
going
sit on
to
a
Salida
curb.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could add like another 30 and just be on the trail.
There you go.
That would work too.
That's a plus.
So yeah, we have options.
Yeah. Good. Patreon.com/backpackerradio. Did we mention every episode advertisement free as well?
Mm-hmm.
That part.
That is a perk.
That is a perk.
When you sweat, you lose a lot more than water. You're burning through sodium, potassium, magnesium, all the stuff your body needs to keep going strong on trail, thinking clearly, and sleeping well at night. That's why I am a huge fan of LMNT. It's a zero sugar electrolyte mix with a science-backed ratio that's heavy on sodium, which is exactly what thru hikers and long distance backpackers are losing all day long. No sugar, no junk, just what your body actually needs. When I'm backpacking, I'll usually drink one LMNT throughout the day, and I'll have another packet before bed. It helps me rehydrate, it keeps the leg cramps away, and I wake up feeling like $1,000,000. Another underrated benefit, LMNT makes those dodgy water sources actually taste good. If you've ever filtered from a silty creek, a cow tank, or some lukewarm pipe sticking out of the ground, you will know how clutch that is. It's not just an on-trail thing either. LMNT is my go-to hangover prevention tool. One packet before bed, one in the morning, and it's like hitting the erase button on a night of bad decisions. My favorites are LMNT, raspberry, and citrus. A cold LMNT lemonade on a hot day tastes like absolute heaven. And the citrus works shockingly well as a no-calorie mix-in for a margarita, perfect while car camping, or the lazy version at home. Good news, Backpacker Radio listeners can score a free LMNT sample pack with any drink mix purchase by going to drinklmnt.com/trek. That sample pack includes citrus salt, raspberry salt, watermelon salt, and orange salt. 2 stick packs of each flavor, 8 total. No coupon code needed, you just have to use the URL. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/trek to get 8 free packets with any drink mix purchase. The deal is only available for a limited time.
Okay, she's here. Our longtime pal, Elise Ott, aka Sauce, aka SOS, which is also Sauce. Elise is a long-distance hiker, runner, fisherwoman, and writer who has thru-hiked the PCT, CDT, Teton Crest Trail, Wind River High Route, and most recently, Portuguese Camino with her parents. Sauce, awesome to have you again.
Great to be here, as always.
Yeah. Before we get knee-deep in Portugal, what have you been up to? What's new in your life?
Honestly, it's been a lot of running. That's been my main focus the last 7 or 8 months. Not that interesting to talk about. I got a coach, which is fun. I'm diving into some longer distances, so I felt a little overwhelmed with how to plan for that. And so have a coach. She's also pretty entrenched in, like, she's hiked the PCT and stuff, so she's through hiker savvy and stuff, and she has actually something really exciting coming up that I don't think, maybe by the time this episode is released, check out Emily Ketty, see what she's up to. But yeah.
I remember talking to Josh off air about your running coach. Did we talk about it on the podcast last time?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember either. We can re-ask the same questions.
Because I think I've only like co-hosted recently. It's been a while since I've been in the interview chair.
Right. I'm trying to think we did the PCT panel. That was the last time you were here.
Yeah.
But okay, so what does a running coach, like, does she just draw out your entire plan?
Yeah.
And is she looking at, like, I know cyclists have like a TSS score. Is she tracking some sort of like data-backed metric to know like how recovered you are, or is it just more quantitative or qualitative, I should say?
I know she looks at a lot of the numbers and stuff that come through with like my watch, and we have an app that she plans all my runs in and stuff, and then they upload there after, so she can look at all of that and kind of like see how I'm doing. And I also, like, she's great about, I can text her and be like, hey, I feel like poop today, can we move things around? And so yeah, I'm not sure if she's looking at, if there's specific numbers she's looking at in that regard, but I know it's all, like, a lot of her approach is based on like data and research that she's done, and a lot of experience that she has. So yeah, she plans out my runs, which is huge for me, because I just think it's hard for me to, it's an extra mental load, I think, when it comes to training, especially for distances you've never done before. So that's been really helpful. She adds a lot of notes about like nutrition and like strength training and things like that. So that's all part of the stuff she plans. Not like, she's not like planning my meals or anything, but it'll be like, make sure you're fueling enough and things like that, just like reminders. And yeah, and then like we do a call like once a month usually, and her rate is really affordable. I think I signed up when she was doing a promo, so I pay like $99 a month, but I think it's not that much more than that, like during her normal sign up. And so it's, yeah, it's really valuable for me to have that resource. And like something that I was really bad with on my first 50K training block was if something came up, I didn't know how to adjust. So if I couldn't do a long run on a Saturday because I was busy doing something, I would like shift it to the Sunday, but then I would end up also doing my other long run maybe that Friday because I was busy that next weekend. And I was almost like too focused on getting every single run in, and I think I was running myself a little bit ragged doing that. And so with her, it's nice because it can be more flexible in shifting things around, but still making sure I'm getting the volume I need.
Yeah.
When you said she plans your runs, do you mean she plans the routes too?
No, she plans the specific workout. So like tomorrow, I think I have like an hour and 25-minute run with like, I don't know, this is not exactly it, but something like 30 minutes warm up, maybe like 20 minutes at a higher RP, so higher rate of perceived effort we use a lot. And then like hills, so I'm doing 5 times like 20-second hill sprints, and then warming it out, like ending it up with a cool down. So like I'll have to pick a place to go that makes sense with that, but she plans out like the exact mileage, or she goes more based on time actually, but the workout basically.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it must be nice. Not only, you mentioned the mental load of having somebody do that for you, but also I would guess that I would question myself all the time. Like if I
Yeah.
was following like either like a static plan that I just got off of Google or just like trying to kind of invent something myself, I would
Yeah.
constantly be second guessing.
Like, is this actually gonna work?
Yeah. Having someone that knows their shit to plan that out for you must be a nice relief.
For sure. And I never did speed work on my first. And I've heard a lot of people say like speed work is really important when you start going into the longer distances, because in order to just make cutoffs, if you can't be running usually that distance repeatedly beforehand, so those harder effort workouts make a lot of a difference in achieving that finish.
I would imagine the monthly call probably also helps with accountability, because you're not going to want to go in there
even
and
just
be like,
having it on the app. I'm like, if I don't do it, she's gonna see. And that was one of the biggest
What do you mean?
motivators for me. So like when I run, it like uploads to the app that we
so
use.
she can actually see if you didn't run.
She knows if I did my workouts or not. Yeah.
What does she say if you miss a run?
She's never like, she's cool. Like she's understanding, and usually I will like let her know like,
That's
hey,
almost worse.
yeah.
I'm not mad.
That's why
I'm
it's
disappointed.
good. It's like I feel like I have to have a legitimate reason. Whereas if I was left to my own devices, I could just be like, I don't feel like it today. But when I have to tell someone, oh, I just didn't feel like it, that doesn't. And that's a huge part of the reason I ended up getting a coach too, is because I knew I wanted to train over the winter this year, and I was like, I'm gonna make every excuse in the book.
That's
to
the
not
most
train over the
compelling
winter.
reason
Yeah.
that you've given so far. Because like for me, I would just be like, yeah, I did it. It's been going great. And then probably have fallen off the bandwagon if they can see that.
The full data. So it's not like you can just like
That's crazy.
check a box like, yeah, I did it.
We'll get to backpacking here after this, but I'm curious because I dabble a little bit in Strava. I'm by no stretch like a real runner at all, but
You're fast though.
I guess
To me.
I'm reluctant to say yes, because I'm sure if someone slower than me sees it and I'm saying I'm slow, I'm like,
Well, then they
belittling
would just laugh at my times.
them. You're also running at 10,000 feet. That makes a big difference. Makes a huge
I try to
difference.
remember that because
Yeah.
I'm kind of hard on myself,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think just running at all at 10,000 feet is hard. But is there, as like a more competitive runner like you are, is there any sort of social pressure on Strava being like, I know that people are going to be evaluating my time and this is my average minute per mile, and like I don't want someone to think that I'm running slower than X?
Well, I would say first, I don't consider myself a competitive runner. I know I'm slow, and for me, a big part of it is just getting it done. I also keep my Strava very like locked down. I try to keep it very positive vibes in there. I don't accept, like, if I don't know who people are and they request to follow me, I don't accept it.
Because then they can see where you're running.
That
every
too.
day, right?
I mean, I'm pretty locked down with Strava, partially because of that too, just a safety concern, but also I just want the vibes to be good when I'm in. And there definitely is though. Like I had a really tough run yesterday actually. She scheduled in a mile time trial essentially, and I felt so slow, and I was comparing even just to my own previous times. The fastest I could go, I ran like an 8:28 mile, and that felt really hard. And
That's fast. That is fast.
But like I had
Especially
nothing left to
10,000
give.
feet.
And then you think about Rachel, and I should not be comparing myself to Rachel Intrican, but she ran like the first 100 miles of Cocodona, I think, at like 8:30 pace. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's not.
So you're not as fast as the record-breaking
Yeah,
runner.
I know. But I used to like, and my dad made a good comment too. I remembered this one run in like college that I ran like 8:30 pace for like 8 miles, but I was in Alabama. I was, at sea level. So I'm I still struggle sometimes with like the comparison for sure, but Strava I don't think is a reason for that.
Okay.
And I think sometimes like occasionally there's people who I'm like, they probably don't understand that I'm running at 10,000 feet. Like maybe they think I'm really, really, really slow, but I try not to care that much about that because it really just, it doesn't matter. That's trail running for me is definitely not like, it's more about bettering myself and enjoying my time outside than trying to be fast. So
Yeah.
When you're working with like a scheduled regime kind of, or like a plan of what you're running, when you're running and how far and all that stuff, and then you go do the Portuguese Camino, are you taking time? I know we're going to get to like the actual hiking portion later, but on the running side of things, are you taking time in your day to like go on a run while doing this?
No. And that was also a nice thing about having, like, she just accounted for that in my training block. And I did end up running a little bit just to get my legs moving, but no, I wasn't worried about being that intense about it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like hiking the trail kept you on pace, boosted your fitness, or do you feel like you're now lagging because of it? And we'll add the context and obviously go deep in this, but we mentioned in the intro that you were hiking with your parents, which means you're hiking it at a group leisurely pace,
Yes.
I assume.
Yeah. I think I still felt very active. Like we were still doing decent amount of like walking per day, but it's definitely not as strenuous as any through hikes I've done before. It's definitely more of a Camino, a walk. I think I probably maintained okay, maybe lost a little bit of fitness, but I don't feel like it was a huge setback or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk about the Camino.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of Caminos. I don't know if we've talked about this one. If we have, certainly not in the depth that we're going to talk about it today, but tell me how you landed on this Camino. Give us the overview, the distance it goes from where to where, the fun fast facts.
Sweet. It is the Portuguese Camino, the coastal route specifically. There are 3 routes for the Portuguese Camino: the coastal, the littoral, and the spiritual variants. We stuck to the coastal, and it's kind of how it sounds. It stays along the beach a lot, especially in the beginning. And choosing to hike it actually was my mom's idea. She actually did the French way back in 2022. So that's the one that goes through like northern Spain and the Pyrenees. And that one's quite a bit longer. And she wanted to do another one. And so this was definitely her idea, but I was excited to make it happen because I felt like it was a really unique opportunity to spend time with my parents. So yeah, people have kind of asked me, you know, how do I convince my parents to do this? And I'm like, well, my mom, it was her idea, so I can't really help a ton with that. But what I would say to them is, it is very chill compared to a lot of, if you're someone who's coming from a lot of hiking in the U.S. and you're afraid of, you know, your parents' abilities to be able to do it. I'm not saying it's super easy or anything. There's definitely some hills, and, you know, depending on how you break up the days, it can be longer or shorter. But if you're trying to entice them, give yourselves like a longer time frame to finish it in. You can break it up as much as you want. You can break as much as you want. There's plenty of stops along the way. None of the terrain is super wild. There's some parts that it's rocky and things like that, but it never lasts super long. It's a lot of pretty chill terrain. So yeah.
And how long did you do it in?
It took us, we walked for 13 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that including zeros?
We didn't have any planned in, actually. And I think that's because my mom actually went through a service to plan it. I would say it's definitely a mix. I would say most people went through a service that we talked to, actually. I was trying to get a feel for that. And the crowd is definitely older. And most of them kind of go through a service who kind of handles that. And I think our parameters for how long we could take on each end were just kind of tight. And so there wasn't a lot of time to plan in rest days. My mom did end up taking one full zero. And she just bussed from one town to the next. So it's definitely an option if you're kind of dealing with a tighter timeline. And I did take one half day with her as well. So, yeah.
How many miles were you typically doing a day?
It varied quite a bit. Like our shortest days were 12 kilometers. So like
8,
yeah, like 7-ish miles. And then our longest day was 20 miles or like 30 something kilometers. I would say the majority of them were around like 10 to 12. But definitely some longer days in there.
What kind of pace are you making compared to being on the trail? Like if I'm on the AT, I'm going 2 to 2.5 miles an hour at what is a comfortable, not rushed pace for me.
Mm-hmm.
How does that translate to doing a 20-mile day on the Camino?
I think you could easily, like if you're out there and you just want to crush miles, you could easily do 20 miles every day. My dad and I would walk at like 3.2. But then if I wanted to go slower and hang out with my mom for a little bit, like 2 miles an hour, 2.5. So you could definitely get some good miles in if that's what you wanted out of it.
Is it harder to stay focused on the walking itself when you're going through towns and populated areas? Because getting through 20 miles on trail, that can take the whole sunlight depending on the pace. But if I'm walking past like a cute shop in Portugal, I'm going in, and there goes a half hour, and I don't have that distraction on the trail.
You would have time for those distractions. Like the day that my dad and I did 20 miles, we started probably around 8:30 and finished at like 4 or 5 p.m.
Did you go to any stores?
We went into a gas station, I remember, on that day. We didn't really stop a lot for souvenirs or anything, but there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of cafes. You can absolutely stop at those, and a lot of people do. It's like very common to see people just drinking a coffee. And then there's a lot of places that also have stamps. So part of Camino is having pilgrim credentials, and you get it when you start, and it's like a little passport that you stamp, and technically you're supposed to have 2 for every day in order to get your like certificate when you finish. It's very organized. It's like way more, there's a lot of infrastructure compared to the thru hikes here. There's like a whole office where you get your credentials validated and like a certificate printed out and stuff. So you can stop in those places, and there's churches people stop in and like look around. And
we should put stamp books in all the shelters.
I know, it'd be cool. I was thinking that too, because it's a cool like memory to look back on too.
It doesn't cause that much trash. It's just a stamp pad and a stamp.
Hopefully not at all. Yeah.
And then you could stamp the shelter that you're at for each one on the trail. That'd be really cool.
It would be neat.
You mentioned stopping in a gas station. Is there any interesting like character to a Portuguese gas station? Like, can you get cured meats and good wine and stuff like that?
We didn't look at the wine selection of that one in particular, but we did buy a loaf of bread that was amazing. And it's like, it looks like just a normal like Shell station is the vibe, but they have like fresh bread.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
You did, in a previous conversation, mention to me that the food overall might have been a little lackluster.
So I might get hate for this, but I was not a huge fan of Portuguese food. We actually ended up being in Spain a lot too, and I preferred the food in Spain. And Portugal, and it might have just been because we were along the route. Maybe it's just the kind of places that are along the pilgrimage and stuff, but it was a lot of cheese, cured meat, which is great, but if having that every single day, I was like, I need a vegetable, I need fruit, I need something. And especially because it was more of a style where we were really in the front country. It wasn't like I was out in the back country, and like I wasn't prepared to be eating processed food the whole time, and that kind of felt like that's what was happening. And then they have this classic sandwich called a francesinha. And I think it's actually made in Porto, which I skipped over this, but the route starts in Porto, goes through Spain to Santiago de Compostela.
Porto's in Spain?
Porto's in Portugal, the north of Portugal. So it's like half and half. It's like
it starts in Portugal, goes into Spain, goes back into Portugal?
No, sorry. Starts in Porto, Portugal, then goes north into Spain and ends in Spain at the Santiago the Santiago de Compostela, the church. And so it's kind of like half in Portugal, half in Spain. And yeah, they have this sandwich called the francesinha, which I only tried one. It's worth trying. It's like bread and then meat on the inside, and then it's wrapped in cheese, and then has like a tomato beer sauce poured over it. And so it kind of
tomato beer sauce. What is that?
Like tomato and beer, I think.
Okay.
Like it kind of reminded me of like Chaunce, you're looking at pictures of it.
No, I'm looking at the Camino right now. I'm just thinking about tomatoes and beer.
Yeah.
I don't like Bloody Marys though.
You probably wouldn't like this then. It kind of reminded me of like if you got a grilled cheese and dipped it in tomato soup, which it was good in that sense, but it was a little bit much, and I think maybe the meat on the inside was just a bit much for me. But it was funny because I posted about it and someone was like, "What did you think?" And I was like, and they were like, "Yeah, me too."
Interesting.
But the wine there was excellent, very good. We had some delicious meals. I'm not trying to hate on, but it just felt like it was harder to find something that wasn't like meat and cheese and potatoes.
You mentioned Porto. Is that where port wine is from?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Port wine was a big a big thing there.
Yeah.
And they're very famous for their canned fish, so like sardines and tinned fish.
Those are very in style right now.
Yeah, and they like serve it with dinner a lot of the time. So you'll get like a plate of bread and then like a can of tuna pate and olives and butter. I tried it a few times, but it kind of was giving cat food to me. So
Okay, great, because I don't like canned tuna either. Well, actually, I like canned tuna. I'll do canned tuna with like some mayo and some garlic powder, but the like trendy, like beautiful packaging, tinned tuna or tinned fish that people are,
and that's very much what
really
it was
into.
And they're famous for that. And just maybe not my jam, unfortunately. But if that's your jam, go to Portugal.
So this is a coastal route, and people are not eating fresh seafood?
So, yes. They are also very famous for, especially in Portugal, the codfish. And so I had that a few times as well. Something that I was not expecting with that either is when they fillet fish there, they don't take the bones out at all. So it was all eating like around bones, which the fish was really good. But I just, after a while, I was like, okay, I've tried 3 or 4 meals of the cod and I'm good
on the cod.
Good on the cod. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was good. And then I had like in Spain, I really enjoyed the seafood there because it was more like we had a seafood paella one night that was delicious. Had like a bunch of clams and mussels and stuff in it. And then I had some grilled octopus that was delicious. Maybe I just don't love eating around the bones, I guess. So that was kind of
that's fair.
Hard for me to.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
It is annoying to eat around the bones. Does this overlap, or is it close to the Fisherman's Trail at all?
I don't know.
I'm guessing you would have seen signage for that, so maybe
I didn't see.
And I don't know which of
probably
two.
not, because this is southern Portugal. So we were in northern Portugal.
Okay.
But I bet that's beautiful because the coast of Portugal and Spain was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was stunning.
I'm disappointed to hear that you didn't love the food.
The Spain food
I
was
surprised.
good.
Yeah.
The Portugal food, and maybe it's just the places we went.
I
I'm
mean,
just throwing that out there.
You don't
It
have
could
to.
Been,
you don't have to qualify it.
Yeah, it's just a lot of potatoes.
Interesting.
Like, I can get that at home. It feels like. You know?
No, but the bone thing. Like when I studied abroad in Thailand, I quickly learned that if you ordered anything fish, it came with the head and the tail, and like.
And I don't even mind that.
It's too much effort.
Yeah.
It's too much effort, and when you have to pick bones out of it, it's too much effort. So I would avoid those two.
It is a bummer to get like a stray bone when you're taking a meaningful bite into fish.
Yeah.
And they weren't stray, like they were fully in there, so like you knew they were there, and that was good, I guess. Yeah, it was
intentional bone.
Yeah,
spiteful bone.
But yeah, and then you would think, but to your point, you would think you were being careful, and then you might still get one in there.
Yeah. Out on that.
What's the Portuguese breakfast like?
It was, again, one thing that struck me as a little bit different was there was always a platter of like lunch meats and cheese and bread, and then they do have these really delicious pastries called pastel de nata. They were at every breakfast. Those are delicious.
What's nata?
Great.
Is that?
It's like a milk cream pastry.
Okay.
I'm not certain what de nata stands for, but it was
Egg custard tart with a flaky pastry crust.
I can get on board with
Traditionally dusted with cinnamon or powdered sugar.
Yeah.
Those were amazing, and those were at all the coffee shops and stuff too.
They originated in the 18th century with monks in Lisbon.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
cool. Yeah, those were amazing. Those were at breakfast. Our breakfasts were all usually at a hotel because the way my mom booked it through a company, and we stayed at hotels, so it was a very bougie experience compared to most through hikes. But it seems like a lot of people actually did that. We would see a lot of other pilgrims at our hotels and stuff. So it seems to be like a pretty common way to do it. And yeah, it was bread, cheese, meat. They also did usually have like eggs and bacon, but bacon was always ham, so not what we're used to. And yeah, coffee, fruit. I enjoyed the breakfast.
Yeah. What was the cost on this service?
I believe it was about 2,000 euros per person.
Okay. And you said that was about 2 weeks?
Yeah, basically. And we used them also for a few days before, like our first 2 days we stayed in Lisbon before we went to Porto. And they also scheduled a tour for us to Fatima. My mom really wanted to go there. And then, so we had like a full day tour, one of the days at the beginning and at the end, actually. We went to, at the end, oh gosh, what's it called? Oh, Finisterre, which is like, some people walk all the way there. They continue their Camino, but it's not, I don't know how common that is. And so honestly, I felt like it was a pretty good deal. Yes, it's expensive. You could absolutely book everything yourself for cheaper. But maybe not the same rooms that we got, because I think they probably get deals with the hotels for booking in big blocks and stuff. And every day we had breakfast and stuff included, so that was really nice. And
was dinner also included, or was that?
Dinner was, no, your own thing.
So you're getting a meal every day, your accommodations.
Yes.
You said they were also shuttling luggage for you?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Was that to every hotel?
Every stop. Yeah.
That's nice.
So if you want to do it the bougie way, I definitely recommend. It was a lot of fun. Yes, it's more expensive, but I think if in the format we were doing it, especially doing it with my parents, that was definitely the way to do it. I also think in general you should book ahead, even if you're not going to go through a service. It definitely gets super crowded, especially once you're in Spain. A lot of people will start around Vigo, and there were so many people each day. I definitely heard that it was important to book in advance your accommodations. So like even the albergues fill up, and yeah, I think it just takes some of the stress off as you're going.
If you're in the market for stylish, affordable shades that actually hold up on trail, listen up. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses brand on a mission to make premium eyewear accessible to everyone. And they've got over 300,000 five-star reviews to back that up. Polarized lenses with super clear optics, durable frames, solid hinges, and clean classic styles that look sharp on and off trail. And my favorite part? Their Lost and Broken Protection Program. Drop them in a creek crossing, sit on them at camp, leave them in a hitch. They've got you covered from day one. Just reach out and they'll send you a new pair. No stress, no hassle. Finally, sunglasses you don't have to worry about babying on trail. Discount time. Backpacker Radio listeners, Shady Rays is offering you their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code TREK for 40% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's 40% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. Code TREK, T-R-E-K. This deal is only good for a limited time, so don't wait.
What is the difference between the literal way and the coastal route? Because on a map it looks like they're the same thing.
I think they do overlap a decent bit, but sometimes the coastal route will stay more
coastal
towards the coast, and the littoral will go more inland.
So of these towns you went through, I found Vigo, which looks like it's closer to the end of the Spain. Does it end in Redondela?
It ends in Santiago.
Oh, okay. So you went.
Yeah.
So this map just has that as part of the central route that I guess you join up with.
Yeah.
So going through these towns, can you let me know like the highlights or any special things that separate them from each other or made them stand out for your trip?
Some of them are definitely way smaller and more rural feeling. Vigo is a big city. I did not expect that. We walked into Vigo and I was like, whoa, it felt like San Francisco.
Really?
It's probably not that big, but that was the vibe. Lots of hills, so I think that's also where that comparison comes from.
You started in Porto though?
Yes.
Okay.
Porto, Portugal, and that's very coastal. We walked around along the beach for like the first 3 days.
What's the vibe of Porto?
Also pretty big. I would say it just feels like a European city. Like Lisbon felt older to me. And yeah, like an old European city. It was really beautiful. But then also there's a lot of modern and like buildings and stuff too. So
does the route go through Lisbon, or is that just where you flew in? No,
we just flew into Lisbon, and then we took a train up to Porto.
Got it.
Yeah. And so I would say, if you're over there, it's worth visiting Lisbon for sure.
Yeah.
And then
Villa do Conde looks like maybe one of the first ones you would have hit.
I can tell you which one. So
tell me.
Porto is where we started. It was cool. It was beautiful. That's where I had the francesinha. And then we went to La Bruges, which really we were just kind of at like a roadside stop to get a driver to come pick us up. And that felt very coastal. It was like very beachy. A lot of the trail in that portion is along boardwalks along the beach.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's really pretty and not as populated as it gets later on. And then from Le Bruges, we went to Pavoa de Varzim. And I'm trying to remember. I need to look at pictures to kind of remember the vibe of that place. But I remember it also was pretty beachy. And they felt like, I don't know. The closest I can think of is some Florida towns where they're like on the beach, but it didn't feel like Florida.
Also, shout out to Shira. The best photo of this map with the most town names I've been able to find is on her website.
Nice. And then from there, I remember I really liked Esposende. I think it was also because I liked the hotel we stayed at a lot. It was this beautiful, like, sprawling floor layout, and I had a really yummy mushroom risotto there. And again, like, right on the beach. So it was just beautiful, like, sunsets and stuff. And then you kind of meander in and out
She is.
from, like, beach towns, and then occasionally you'll go inland, and it feels very like old European neighborhood, and like people's gardens, and a lot of it felt very like European countryside.
Is it like a France or like an Italy kind of feeling, or is it like a Game of Thrones, like the Red Keep kind of feeling?
There are castles that feel Game of Thrones. Like we went to one on one of the day tours. But in general, I would say it's almost like, it felt just very countryside. Like, you're in rural areas for so much of it, and you're kind of like straight up like walking through people's yards, and not yards, but like along their yards, like on roads through like these, rural like neighborhoods. Lots of churches, passing lots of like beautiful, really, really old churches. Like some of them were built in like the 1600s and stuff. So if you're into architecture and stuff like that, it's definitely a very interesting way to see Europe, I think, because you're not in city centers very much. It's more, just walking along the countryside.
This is going to be a violent fork in the road in terms of the direction we're going with this interview.
For sure.
We should preface this by saying there's a reason that you're out hiking with your parents.
Oh, yeah,
we
let's
should
go into
get on
that.
that.
Yeah,
subject
I
for
feel like
sure.
that might be honestly more
let's
interesting than I will just say overall it's beautiful. It's worth going. My favorite towns were probably like Aguarda, Vigo. Yeah.
I'm not. I definitely want to get back to some more of the specifics of the route, but like I feel like we have to lay the foundation.
We don't need to go. Yeah. So we were doing this in memory of my brother Curtis. He died in February of 2025, and it was interesting actually because my mom we had tried to plan it once before, and he was not doing great, and so we ended up postponing it. So I'm really happy that it did end up happening, but. Gosh, how...
Do you want to start with talking about how he passed away, if you're comfortable doing that?
Yeah. Even that, I'm like, the context.
Because, if we go into what we're raising
I'm
money
down
for.
to go deep into it. I guess maybe like a trigger warning, mental health stuff. So, a lot of people probably don't know this. We don't really actually know how he died. I haven't figured out really how to talk about it because we don't know what happened. He was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, and there's a long history of him being in and out of like hospitals and stuff.
Is that just schizophrenia? I don't know.
So that's a good question. Schizoaffective disorder is essentially, from my understanding, it's schizophrenia, but it's characterized more by cycles, the way like bipolar might be. So with bipolar, you have manic episodes and depressive episodes, and with schizoaffective, you have manic, depressive, and schizoaffective episodes. So like schizophrenic episodes. So and the cycles don't necessarily go in order or anything, but so you'll have time periods where you're experiencing like those psychic delusions, and for him, he would just say really wild stuff that like we didn't know how. It's really one unique part of it is it's very difficult to deal with because the person just like is not based in reality, and when they're going through one of those episodes, and different people obviously have different ways that their brain goes through it, but for him it was often scary and like hateful, and he was very paranoid, so it made it even harder to try and get him help because he just was so paranoid and didn't want help. And sometimes he would admit that something was going on, but a lot of times he was just like, well, they think I'm crazy, and I'm, he was kind of in denial. And he actually originally was diagnosed with bipolar 1, I believe. There's one that has is known to have episodes of like delusions, I think, and I can't remember which one it is, but so he was originally diagnosed with that, and then for a long time he was also an addict and a drug user, so they won't diagnose you with schizoaffective unless you're sober, because it could be drug induced that you're having the like delusions and stuff. But he ended up getting sober for a while, and then they did diagnose him with that. And I'll just read the schizoaffective disorders are chronic condition characterized by a combination of schizophrenia symptoms like hallucinations or delusions and mood disorder symptoms like depression or mania. So a little bit different than schizophrenia, I guess, in the sense that it has like those depression and mania episodes. And so that's something that I remember I first noticed symptoms probably when he was like around 18-ish. And not to go on a like completely different tangent, but we do think drug use made a big impact on it.
I was going to ask about that since you said
it
wasn't like forever.
Yeah. Well, so the studies on it are mixed, or the current theory, they don't know exactly what causes it or anything. Currently people think that either that drug use, specifically actually THC, can bring this out in people. But there's kind of a debate on correlation versus causation. Like, do people seek out THC because they're kind of self-medicating because they already kind of have this underlying thing that's maybe bothering them and they don't maybe have words to put to it, so maybe they seek out substances to deal with it in a way? Or it could be that the use of the substances is what brings that out. They do know that it does tend to bring it out in people. So like, if you already have this like underlying condition, it's best to avoid THC. Obviously, you're not going to maybe know that, but right. I think it's a really good case for avoiding marijuana use when you're really young, like when your brain's developing, because you don't know if you could be making something like that worse or bringing it out in yourself, whereas once you're older and your brain's more developed, it's less risky. So yeah, I hope I'm not like mischaracterizing things, but yeah, he started smoking weed when we were in like he was in like 7th grade or something, and like we would like bond over that. We both had like a kind of a rebellious phase, and so at first it was like fun and like, ooh, we're smoking weed behind our parents' backs, but then he just went way more into it. And like, there's some funny story. Like when I was giving his eulogy, I thought about this story because it kind of makes me laugh, and so it helped keep me from crying. But he, back when the Silk Road was a thing, so he had to be, I've done the
Silk Road.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you mean back when it was a thing?
Back when it was a thing, because it got shut down by the FBI or whatever.
Oh, wait, no, I thought you were talking about like the original Silk Road. Like
I'm talking about, no, not like the Asian, like not the historical.
That's why I was
Silk
like
Road.
Back when it was a thing.
No. So there's, okay, dark web.
Okay.
I don't know how you access the dark web. I think
don't
like
know
with
either.
VPNs and stuff, but the dark web still exists. But there used to be this site on the dark web called the Silk Road, and you could order like drugs on there, and you could all sorts of horrible things on there, but drugs was one of the things, and that's why my brother was on there. And what's crazy is the Silk Road only existed for like 2 or 3 years, I think. And I did the math one time, and like the oldest he could have been was a sophomore in high school, which is nuts. And he ordered a bunch of mushrooms to my parents' house. And I got so mad at him because I was like, Curtis, you're an idiot. Like, Dad works for the government, and you put his address on the black, like, ordering mushrooms to our house. And he was like, well, I put my name on it. You are so dumb. But luckily, like, when they shut it down, they were looking for like the people sending the drugs, not
Like the
my
Curtises putting their home
15-year-old
addresses.
brother. Yeah. But like, it's just funny to me because my dad, anyway.
What'd your dad say when he found that out?
I don't know if my dad even knows that story.
He listened to the
honest.
eulogy, no?
I didn't tell it in the eulogy. I wasn't
Oh.
telling people at church.
You just brought up the eulogy. I'm
No,
like,
no,
dude,
sorry.
this must have been a sick eulogy.
Okay, no. For context, I was thinking about it because I didn't
Got
want to
it.
cry.
Got it.
And so I was like, it was like a funny memory that I would be like, okay, think about
That
the
would have been a great
mushrooms.
quip to start it off with.
Yeah. I mean, I gave it at my old church that I grew up in. I don't know if they would have appreciated it. But I've told plenty of people's story now.
Yeah.
Backpacker Radio listeners get to hear it. So,
You mentioned psychedelics.
Yeah.
Can psychedelics also bring out
yeah,
schizophrenia?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that like there's a lot of studies on the link between schizophrenia and THC. I don't know how many there are on psychedelics. I'm sure it doesn't help. I think it's probably the same kind of thing where like if you have this predisposition of your brain already isn't firing the right chemicals, and then you introduce this like external factor, it's probably not a good thing. I know my brother did like just a bunch of mushrooms one time, and yeah, I don't think it helped him.
Were there any signs of anything prior to the drug use? Like, do you remember him as a young kid having...
He was always very like rambunctious and stuff, and he terrorized me as little brothers do. But other than that, I don't think so. I've been asking my parents about it because I'm trying to kind of understand things from their perspective as well. And I mean, he definitely was a rebellious kid, like, but not any... I don't think anything like super out of the norm for just a young boy.
Yeah.
He had this friend that they would hang out with all the time. They would build like forts in the woods for like their paintball. He did love like, he was always definitely very Daredevil-esque. And actually the friend that I'm talking about was our neighbor down the street. And at his funeral, he said to me, you know, Curtis always felt the most alive, the closest that he was to death. And that was very poignant to me because I felt that was very true. He loved to take risks. And, again, I think there's a lot of little boys that do stuff like that, but maybe for him it was a little more extreme. I would say that's the main thing. He used to like make napalm in the backyard out of styrofoam and gasoline and like pour it and like light it on fire. So like stuff like that.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about like we drove back from the Teton Crest Trail, and that was when you were telling me all like stories about him. That was before he passed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
remembering some of these stories. Some of them are funny.
Yeah, there's one that like when he stole the truck. Did I tell you that one?
I don't remember.
Okay, this is a good one. I think it's hilarious. Some people like, it's still fresh enough that I think some people don't know how to laugh when I'm like, no, this is funny. You can laugh. And I need to laugh sometimes. So, so the first time he was ever forcibly hospitalized, by the way, he never went to the hospital on his own. That was always, he was never a willing participant, but, he had dressed up in a 3-piece suit for some reason. I think he was telling my dad that he was going to, I was living in Georgia at the time. So I had just graduated college. It would have been like 2019-ish. So he would have been 20.
Okay.
Yeah. Like 20-ish, around that age. And so he dressed up in a 3-piece suit, and he was, I think, saying something about how he's going to go be an actor in California. So like this is the level of like the delusions when they were like that. And so he was saying something about that, and then he was like just doing stuff in the house, like throwing things around and like just weird stuff. And then I guess he had like been playing his drums all night, and then he just stopped at some point, and then my dad went to look for him, and he was gone. And my dad followed his footprints all the way. I grew up next to a county park. So my dad followed his footprints all the way to the park, and then his footprints disappeared. It was snowing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I recently discovered that. Apparently his shoes came off at one point. My dad's like, I don't remember that. But my mom's like, no, he was barefoot. So
He was following bare footprints?
I think at this point he still had his shoes on. But so my dad follows the footprints to the park, and then they just disappeared. And he's like, okay, that's weird. They ended up like calling the police to be like, hey, he's missing. We don't know where he is. And we didn't know anything for a while. And that was, my parents also hid a lot for me at this time because they didn't want to worry me, I think. And so like I knew he wasn't doing well, but they didn't call me. I didn't really know much of what was going on until like they called me that time and were like, Curtis is missing, don't freak out. And I was like, what do you mean? He's gone? Like, what? But yeah, so then later, I think, they woke up that morning, he was gone. They ended up finding him at like 4 or 5 p.m. that day, I think. And it wasn't super long that he was missing. But when they found him, it was the police in Illinois ended up contacting the county police where my parents live. So my parents live in Missouri, but we're right on like the Mississippi River. So we're really close to Illinois. So what he had done was there was a county parks truck that was idling in the park. And he took that as a sign that that truck was for him. So he took the truck and drove it all the way to Illinois. So across state lines. So now it's Grand Theft Auto. Like, you're a dumbass. In a 3-piece suit.
Places to drive it.
Yeah. And then it just stopped, he says. And so he thought maybe they had like a GPS on it that like they could kill the battery remotely or something.
The shopping carts at Target that stop when you get past the parking lot?
Yeah. So his theory was that like that's what happened in the truck. So he gets out of the truck and he starts just like running around like Granite City, Illinois, which is not like a great area. And somehow the police saw him running around. I don't know if they knew he was the missing person or it's just like some 20-year-old's running around in a 3-piece suit. Like, what is he doing? And so they ended up catching him and tackling him, and my brother goes to the police officer and he's like, did you play football? That was a good tackle. So yeah, it's just like his personality would still come through in funny ways, but he also, so the reason
have you thought about the county truck being idled in the park? I'm just picturing that there is a county employee.
No, he's like over
in the bathroom, like
or
taking
over in
a
the
shit.
bushes somewhere, like pulling weeds, and he just like turns around, his car is like driving
I'm
away.
thinking he's taking his shit, and he comes out, and his car's just gone, and he's like, "Fuck."
Yeah, no, exactly.
Shouldn't have left it idling.
Yeah,
absolutely thought about that. Like, yeah, he just like thinks he's in like a safe little suburb, and he was, but like doesn't stop my crazy brother. So, and yeah, I know I shouldn't use the word crazy. I do apologize for. I know that's like there's a stigma.
It's
yeah,
like
I don't know,
it's your
experience. I know, but
yeah.
I am trying to be better about like that language. But
I think whatever makes you feel okay about.
Yeah, that's true. I sometimes when I'm
who
just
am I
talking
to tell you how to go.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they found out. So he had a bunch of cocaine on him. This was he's been a drinker. He's been a pot smoker. He's done all sorts of diet, like psychedelics. And at this particular point in time, he was addicted to cocaine and was probably causing a lot of his like symptoms to be more extreme. And I guess he was like doing bumps when he was like running from the cops. He told my parents that later or something.
While running?
I guess
Wow.
just
good
to, like,
for endurance.
Yeah, like
I don't know if your running coach has suggested yet, but
she hasn't.
Like the power
on my
nutrition
Mario.
But
I imagine he was having a really good time for a while there, and then apparently they said they knew he wasn't from around there because the cocaine was too pure. Because because like he was in. So like for people who are familiar with the area, it's like East St. Louis versus my brother's from the county, which is not like some bougie area. There's bougie areas of St. Louis. My parents are in like a suburb for sure, but it's not like the bougiest suburb or anything. But yeah, so
East St. Louis is pretty rough.
Yeah. There's a whole history on why that is, but yeah, it's definitely like the area they tell you like not to stop at stop signs, like roll through them and keep your windows rolled up and your doors locked and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of like the St. Louis crime rate statistics come from too. So yeah, he ends up over, I don't know if he was specifically in like that area of East St. Louis, but he was in like a more rough area across the river of Illinois. And yeah, they were like, he's not from here. And so then they all got in touch, and that's how they found him. And then my mom's friends have been a really great support network for her. And they all like kind of rallied to figure out what to do. And that was the first time he went to like rehab. They were like, he should just go straight there. Like, don't let him come home, as part of like showing a judge, I guess, in the long run that. And I think he never got charged for the truck. I think they like couldn't prove it.
What?
Yeah. There was something weird with that. And that's why I've been trying to talk to my parents more about stuff. Cause I'm like, what happened with that? Like, I know they hired a lawyer, and I think like, because he wasn't in the truck when they found him, there was something weird where like they couldn't charge him with it, but he did get like possession charges, I think, because that whole time he was running, like, why not toss his bag? I don't know, but
Because he had to still do it.
yeah, he needed the bumps to keep
Right,
the energy
there's still
going.
some left.
Yeah, but anyway,
That's
so
an
that's one of my
incredible story.
favorite.
That's a good
stories.
one.
It's pretty good, and it's just like picturing him like running around barefoot in like East St. Louis with a 3-piece suit on. Just anyway, okay, we totally got sidetracked, but
No, that was a good sidetrack.
I'm curious to know, were the rehab stints helpful at all?
sometimes. So I think one of the major overarching problems is specifically schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia, and mental health disorders like that. We know so little, I've realized, and they know so little about how to treat it, that I don't know how many places are very helpful. There are definitely people who've gotten help, and there are people who have success stories, but I think, unfortunately, the majority of the time, it's really hard to get people help because the disease is cruel in the sense that a huge part of it is paranoia a lot of the time, and so they do not want help. They don't trust anyone who's trying to give them help. They were sometimes helpful in the sense that he would come home medicated, and clean for a little while, like not using. And he was also a very disciplined person in some ways. So like he was tormented by this, his mental illness, but he also, when he got in the like headset of I'm going to be sober, he would do it. And then, or like he, as far as we know, completely quit doing cocaine, which I feel like is really impressive because it's a very addictive substance. And, but then he would like drink a lot. So he like was always self-medicating in some way. And also the drugs that they currently use obviously there's a lot of different ones. But they can be very, they have so many bad side effects. Like for him, the ones he was on caused a lot of weight gain. And I thought they were causing a lot of like mental slowness. My dad told me recently it was because he was smoking a lot of weed. So I don't know exactly which one it was, but when he was medicated, I feel like I was talking to a zombie. Like he would just be so like, you would say something to him and it would take 20 seconds for him to answer. And he was like, speech would be very like slow and not normal. And so they were helpful in the sense that he didn't have as extreme of episodes where he was having like delusions or either threatening or acting on violence. But I think he could have been on better medications, and part of that is a patient has to advocate for themselves and say to their doctor, this is causing this and this side effect that I don't like. But he was not in any way ever gonna talk to a doctor in that way because he didn't trust them and he didn't want to go to a doctor. And like I would try to talk to him and be like, if you tell them these things, like that's something they can work on and give you, better medications. But he just didn't.
You mentioned he got diagnosed at 18.
With like bipolar though at that
Right.
point. And it might have been around 20.
Okay, and then the truck was 20. How old was he when he passed?
27.
Okay, just to put context at the time.
Yeah. And it's hard too because when someone's over 18, you don't get to know any information. So my parents only knew as much as he would tell them and as much as they were able to hear from his providers and stuff. And he, of course, was like, no, not releasing documents to anyone, like kind of person. So
is it what's the thing that Brittany was under? A conservatorship?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's an option for parents in that situation?
Yeah. I have another interesting thing about him. He was always really good with his money. Like he didn't that was like an area of discipline for him that he just, for whatever reason, was good about. It probably could have been something that they tried to figure out later on. Yeah, I don't know. He definitely would have fought it. He definitely would not have.
Well, I'm saying also, like, if he's really good with money and stuff, too, like, it's probably harder to
He was, like, low-key a genius in that regard, which is kind of crazy. He had my grandma, when we were both babies, invested for our, like, college funds. And he never went to college. Well, he did. That's a whole separate... he went to school for welding, actually. But then, like, I think he was, like, 2 credits away from graduating, and he, like, wouldn't do the English class or something like that. Because he was always... That was another thing about him. He, like... If it didn't make sense to him why he needed to do something, he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Even though he was capable, he just was very stubborn in that sense. But instead of using it on college, because he went to like a trade school for that, he just was like trading with it. And he made like, it started out, it wasn't like a crazy amount of money. And he grew it by like 88% or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah, he was really smart. Which also didn't help, honestly, because he knew how to, like, navigate these situations. And the last time he was hospitalized, I think that's ultimately why he ended up getting out. So in order to get him hospitalized, you had to prove, like, harm. He was going to cause harm to himself or others. My parents would have to write an affidavit for the police. And then they would come in. They usually tried to call the I think it's the ICE is what they call it in Missouri.
The ICE?
I know that's not. I know.
Just making sure I heard that right.
They ran out of names.
I know. That's why I'm like, is that right? But it's basically the unit that is for mental health issues and like. I wish
a terrible
I
overlap if someone calls the wrong one.
Let me see if that's. That can't be right. Mental health crisis unit or something. That can't be right.
Just the thought of it is kind of, in a way, a little
I
funny.
know.
They come in with their
It's like
ice
the most
jackets.
ill-equipped to handle
And
a
Curtis
mental
will have
health
a
crisis.
freaking field day with that. Let's just like put a pin in that because I don't know if that's right.
Yeah.
But there's a unit that comes and specializes in like crisis support for mental health situations. They would call them. And then he would usually end up, sometimes he would like go willingly at that point, but a lot of times it was not. And so this last time he was like just doing some scary stuff. And part of the reason I do like want to talk about this is because I think it can be such an isolating experience for people who are a loved one of someone with schizoaffective or like schizophrenia specifically, because you don't want people to think poorly of the person, because especially since he's passed in hindsight,
Yeah.
I'm like, that was not him, that was his disease. It was harder to differentiate that when he was alive, because it was a really difficult thing to navigate, because you had to have boundaries obviously for the person, and but he could be violent and say very horrible, hateful things, and so you had to kind of navigate like, how much of this do I allow to happen in order to try and be there for him, and how much of this do I have to just, like, some people completely cut their family members out, and I understand why. I will say I'm glad that we never did, but I know that every situation is unique, and everybody has different amounts of resources and ways that they can deal with it. And luckily my family had a very good support system in their friends, and yeah, but he was, this most recent time that he was hospitalized, he had just he'd like come down the stairs and was like throwing all of his belongings down the stairs for some reason. And but even my dad will point out, he'll say, you know, but he like set his TV down. So he still has like, there's also this gray area of like, how much is this person in control in the moment? And I think there's moments where their real consciousness kind of peeks through, but they're still ultimately stuck with this horrible disease that is in certain ways controlling them. And so it's hard to delineate like how much of this is illness, how much of this is just their behavior. So he was throwing all of his stuff down the stairs. Somehow he like was taking a knife and like shredding his t-shirts with a knife, which was kind of freaky. Obviously he was saying, he always would like just say freaky stuff. He had a lot of his delusions were based in like hatred of Western culture and thinking it was very impure and sinful, and that people were just pigs and disgusting and things like that. So he like really idolized Eastern culture and the purity, I guess, approach. And even like my dad would talk to him sometimes and be like, well, you know, they have issues there too. And but it's not like a logical thing. It just somehow that is the delusion that got stuck in his psyche. And so that was what he would talk about a lot. So he'd be saying stuff like that, and like, all you Westerners are pigs, and like all you do is watch TV all day and poison your mind and just stuff like that. And then
not wrong about that one.
I know, it's like, and then that was the problem. It's like my dad, my mom hated it, but my dad is like, well, I mean, like some of the stuff he says,
he's making some good points right now.
He's making some points. And then it's like, you can't give him that. I mean,
Right.
I don't know the right way to talk to someone in that setting, but like, I don't think it helps to be like, I don't think it helps to encourage them. I also don't think it helps to like fight with them on it. Like,
Right.
And sometimes I wouldn't be able to help it. I would just be like, I would like go at him, and like then there was nothing positive that ever came from that. But
it sounds like a
You
lose-lose
won't-
situation.
yeah, it's just like there's no.
And you won't
best
be
you
the
can
first
do-
sibling that's ever gotten rage baited by their sibling.
Yeah, exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Like-
It's just like a really weird version of rage bait.
Right.
And like he would say stuff sometimes. I love this story too, but he would say stuff sometimes that was like so unhinged, and some people are probably not going to understand why this is funny to me, but that's okay. And it would just be so unhinged that you just like can't. Like one time Josh like let out like a little snort because he was like, we were at the Easter dinner table and he said something just so off the wall, and Josh just like went like and then pissed my brother off, and he literally winds up and he goes, I'll punch your face in, you little bitch boy. And my brother is like 6'2", 180 pounds, and like Josh is like 5'8", 150 pounds, like maybe more. He's probably like 160. But
Poor Josh.
yeah, like my brother never hit him.
Were
He
you
never did.
engaged yet, or was this still like a boyfriend at
we
home
were
on
engaged.
Easter?
We were engaged. But like, oh, that's another reason Josh is such a saint, because like my brother's not been normal for 1 second that Josh and I have been together. So like he's seen it all, or a lot of it, and he was always very understanding. And it's like he didn't even say anything to him. He just like let out a little snort because my brother said something. So I wish I could remember what he said, but yeah, I'm glad you guys got a laugh out of that too, because I love it.
Is very funny.
Yeah. And but yeah, so we were talking about the most recent time he got hospitalized. So he it wasn't as, this is like the way I think like a grieving brain like goes into rationalizing things, but it wasn't as like bad as some of the other times. But he like had like shoved my dad down on the couch at one point, and then like hit my mom, like slapped her on the face, and then they'll be like, well, it wasn't that hard, but like her glasses came off. And so like he was definitely exhibiting violent behaviors, and they knew he was in an episode, so they were like, he needs to get help and he's not going to go on his own. So they did the process of like writing an affidavit and having them come get him. And he had been sober for 6 months at this point too, so that was like a big win. But also, rewind it a little bit, he had quit his meds cold turkey. That was the big catalyst. I think, as most people probably know, quitting psych meds cold turkey, terrible idea.
Was that from the paranoia, you think?
So my parents had this therapist, and I really don't like her. And she made some comment like, maybe you don't even have schizoaffective disorder.
Yikes.
Yeah. And so he took that, ran with it, quit his meds cold turkey. I don't think that's what she was trying to say to him, but when people are in that state, you have to be very careful with the things that you suggest to them. And that's another thing. It's like just very hard to deal with because you don't know what they're going to take as like how they're going to take it. So yeah, and then that was in like December, and then he started having these episodes in like January. And then, so they got him admitted, and he, in Missouri at least, I think they put you on a 96-hour hold. And so that's all that he stayed that time. sometimes he was there for longer if they felt like he needed more treatment, and they can, I think once they're admitted, it's up to their discretion. But he was very uncooperative this time in particular, I think, and just kept, he's also, again, like I've said, smart, and so I think he knows the things to say, and I think he can somewhat keep it together enough sometimes to maybe trick people a little bit.
Masking?
Yeah.
Sounds like he's good at doing that.
Yeah, and I think he also really pissed off his caseworker. So I think it was a combination of factors. Obviously, I think she should have known enough that, like, you know, this kid's mentally ill, but I think maybe he was coming across as just, like, a defiant pain in the butt. And he was probably saying some horrible things to her, and she probably just wanted him gone. And he was saying, you know, I know my rights. You can't keep me here. I want a lawyer, like, all stuff like that. And so they discharged him when we really feel he should not have been discharged. And we were at a phase where this had been happening. You know, he'd been hospitalized like 7 or 8 times over the past 7 years. Maybe 5, actually. I'm looking at a text from my mom. But, yeah, so it was a pattern. Obviously, he would go to the hospital, he would come home. Things might be better for a little while. If he was medicated, then the cycle would repeat. And so I had been encouraging my parents. I was like, maybe you don't let him come home. And a lot of people encourage them, like, don't let him come home. Like, if he's not going to make any changes, you know, he's terrorizing them.
Well, also, once he brings in the physical violence.
Right.
Then there's
and that was, I haven't even touched on, like,
right.
the stuff that was really bad. And, yeah, it was, and this is the thing I think people don't want to talk about. I was afraid my brother was going to kill my parents. Like, that was a very real fear of mine.
You said it first, but we had that conversation on the drive home from the Teton Grass Trail. You were thinking it then too.
Yeah.
And like because you said it first, but we can cut that if you don't want me to say that.
No,
but
that's
you had that intuition and you were worried about it, and so.
And that happened famously with Rob Reiner. And
yes, and that case was really hard to see in the media. Like, hard, but also, I don't want to say validating isn't quite the right word, but it, I feel like I know what that family went through. Obviously, it was probably different. It wasn't exactly the same, but, like, it sounds like they tried to keep him involved. They, like, tried, you know, and they have unlimited resources. Yeah. Like, and I think it just goes to show, like, how complicated of a disease this is and how hard it is we just don't know enough.
But that's also such, like, a conflicting place for you to have to sit mentally, where it's like, obviously there's never a world where you're going to be, like, happy of any sort that Curtis isn't here. We'd rather him be here.
Yeah.
But then there's also a world where you see that case and you say, like, if he never got the help he needed and he started showing the physical violence, like, is there an alternate reality where that was the future?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
you don't. But you're not happy for the one you're like. So it's so conflicting.
It's really, and that's been a really difficult part of the grieving process. Is like, we're like, thank God he didn't hurt anybody, and we also have some theories of, like, maybe that's what happened. Is he was worried about his own brain, and like I said, we don't know exactly what happened, and I can get more into that. But, like, if it was suicide, we're like, maybe he would have these moments of, like, partial clarity. And, like, one time he really hurt my mom, and, he tried to choke her, and, he ended up getting, committed, and he called her like 1 million times when he got to, the hospital. And he told her later, he was like, I was calling because and he was not nice to her on those phone calls, but he was like, I was calling because I was afraid I hurt you. So they didn't even know for sure, like, if he had done what he didn't know if he'd followed through on, like, whatever that compulsion or delusion was.
Yeah, like, blacked out.
Yeah, it kind of seems like maybe that's kind of what he would experience. Or maybe he knew it was happening, but, like, it was very unclear to him how it ended. And so he had, like, remorse, but he also wasn't in control.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, one of our theories is maybe he realized he wasn't in control, and in a moment of control, he took control. I don't know. But, yeah, so a lot of people were giving the advice that myself included, because I also felt like it would be good for him to not come home, because he hadn't ever lived separately from my parents, and that's a normal biological evolutionary thing, is to leave the nest, you know. And I thought that he might enjoy some independence, but I think he was at a point where he kind of needed to be forced. I don't think my parents were coddling him necessarily. They just didn't know what to do. And so for 27 years, that meant housing him and providing for him. And but he was at an age where it's like, you can take care of it. He'd had jobs on and off too. He was like capable of getting jobs and at certain times holding jobs, but then something would eventually happen, and, you know, he would not have it any, you know, quit, or most of the times it was him quitting, actually. He'd just like get in like a fit and be like, I'm not doing this anymore. And
can I just throw in a quick aside?
Yeah.
At the beginning, just like a juxtaposition, if you will. At the beginning of the episode, we were talking about running in Strava, and you were like, I'm trying to keep it like good vibes on Strava. Mm-hmm. For anyone listening to this, just like the idea of like the start, like where that conversation started to where we are now, like really how many layers we went deeper. But like, if you're gonna comment some mean shit on someone's fucking run because it wasn't fast enough for you, like, you have no idea what the person is dealing with in the background, where it's like they showed up today at all, you know. And so it's just it's to me, in the back of my mind, there's a part of me that's just like, it's so funny that we started this conversation with like, I need to keep Strava a happy place, and that there's even people on the internet that would just like be mean about something like a run, when someone could be dealing with something like this in the background and like still putting on a positive face and like showing up every day. It blows my mind a bit.
And I think that's a good rule to remember for like the internet in general. It's like, what you don't know what people are dealing with.
I imagine the majority of people leaving those nasty comments are probably not doing too well themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
But it's also like, you know, like,
could be people like my brother who like are not right, genuinely.
You just never know.
Yeah.
You know, like it could look like all fun and like fly fishing and running in Breck, right? But it's like, be nice to people.
Yes, absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned, and if I'm cutting you off and there's more you want to go to, then redirect me back. But you had mentioned the lack of research and the lack of information around this specific disorder, or whatever the proper word is. Is that part of what prompted the idea of raising money over the hike?
Yeah, definitely. And NAMI, which is the organization that we raised money in Curtis's honor last year as well. National, what does NAMI stand for? I know it's mental illness something. But they're the nation's largest like grassroots mental health organization, and one of National Alliance on Mental Illness is what that stands for. And my parents actually went to NAMI groups as a sort of like support group, especially when Curtis was alive, because I think it can be such an isolating experience, and there's treating it is so complicated because we don't really know that much. And then dealing with it, like all the things that I'm sharing, I hope that people keep in mind that like my brother was a very good person. His illness was not. And like, it's easy, I think, especially like, I thought a lot, especially when he was alive, about how like what his future would be like. And a lot of times I was like, he's going to be that homeless guy on the side of the street yelling angry things at people. And I'm not saying that's not a scary situation to be in when, like, if that happens to you. I've had it happen to me, like, when I lived in Cap Hill, like, some guy, like, yelling mean stuff at me, and, like, it's scary. But I think it's important for us all to remember, like, if we can, try not to stigmatize those people. Like, they probably have a family that loves them, and there's just so little we can do right now for people. And, like, I talked to my friend who's a therapist, and honestly, like, the best case scenario for Curtis at that point was maybe like a state hospital, which is like a lot of states don't even have those anymore, because those are like what you think of when you think of like the mental institutions where people go for like the rest of their lives and like get stuck there, unless he could figure out like a med program that he could be a collaborator in and actually work towards. and there are people with schizoaffective disorder who are able to do that. But Curtis just never figured that out. Yeah.
I've got to run to the bathroom.
Anyway.
But
Yeah.
before I do, I just got my period. The one thing I wanted to say before I go to the bathroom, the topic changes or it goes down a different rabbit hole is because you've mentioned it a couple times in various ways.
Mm-hmm.
Just like kind of the position you're in and how he's being remembered. I just want you to know that the way that you've talked about him so far in this episode, at least, like you've built the story up from a place that genuinely starts from love. I don't think like whether or not you loved him is a question that anyone listening is going to be thinking. I know you mentioned that, but also like it's a heavy responsibility to have to carry someone's memory. And like you mentioned, like also like you don't want to misrepresent the stories because he's not here to say his side or his piece or whatever, but I don't think you are. And I think that what you're saying is such a probably gift to someone that might be listening that has similar family dynamics where getting your honesty could help them.
That's my hope.
And I don't think it comes across in any way of like shit talking him or making fun of like what he was going through or like you know, putting him down or anything. Just from my receiving seat, like you can tell that you know, but I don't want to make this like a sad thing. I don't want you to start crying. So tell me another funny story. But
I know you can see me tearing up.
I've got to go take care of an issue right now, but I just didn't want to leave without telling you that because that has come through and I don't want you to worry about that.
Thank you. And that is my hope is, you know, it is hard to, I think that's why there is such a stigma. It's easier to not admit that my brother like was violent towards my family, you know, but I know there's other people who have had to deal with it, and so I think my hope is that we can help them feel a little bit less alone.
How are your parents doing?
They're doing okay. They're doing okay. I mean, one positive is I think that they do a very good job. We all still talk about him all the time, and I think sometimes people with their grief can very easily just not acknowledge it and hide from it, and everybody grieves differently, but we're definitely not afraid to talk about him, and that's I think a very positive thing. We've done a lot to try and give that grief a place to go, like with the NAMI walks. We've had some incredible neighbors help us like put a bench in his honor in the county park that him and my dad will walk his dog together at all the time. My dad still walks his dog there every single day. I think my dad having my brother's dog is a big blessing because it gives him, you know, they still walk together every single day, which is really sweet. But I think also that makes my dad miss my brother a lot because my brother would come with him on all of those walks. But yeah, they have my mom has a really good support network of friends and stuff, which has been very helpful. And I think, they're doing as good as they can.
Was the hike itself a positive grieving exercise for you guys?
Yeah, I think it was. We brought some of his ashes with us. So it was kind of nice to feel like we were bringing him along. And, you know, good to kind of think of him and spend some time just like reflecting on his life. And I think it brought me and my parents closer for sure. We can have kind of a hard dynamic sometimes, and I think that trip was really good for us and brought us closer. So it was, I think, a very positive exercise in general. And if someone ever did want to do that for someone they were grieving, I think it's a good outlet. Like you don't have to be religious to do a Camino. I definitely didn't. My mom was raised very Catholic, is very Catholic. I was raised Catholic, but I don't really practice anymore. And I didn't feel weird being in a religious setting, if that's like anyone's concern. But there are a lot of like shrines on the side of the road. If you like, you could leave pictures of a loved one if you wanted to, things like that. So I think it could be a really nice outlet for that.
Do you think the pilgrimage, the religious aspect of it, helped either you or your parents? You mentioned your
Definitely
mom.
My parents. And I think I'm more of a spiritual person is how I would, and I think it's really beautiful to see people interacting with their faith, even if it's not the same way I interact with it, I guess. So yeah, I think for my parents, that was definitely a huge factor in it being a positive, an even more positive experience.
Yeah. Is there anything else about Curtis that you want to relay before we go?
Well, I was starting to get into, I think I was, for some reason I was starting to talk about the last time he was hospitalized and like what happened, just to like kind of give a conclusion to how that all went down. But we really wanted we were kind of in this phase of like, everyone, let's try something different. Like maybe he doesn't need to come home. And so he was living at like a long-term stay hotel, unmedicated, but he had been sober for a while. And so they were kind of trying something different. And that is where he ended up dying. And we don't know exactly what happened. Basically, he was communicating with me more than he ever had before. He was calling me like maybe every other day. He'd never done that before. I had one phone call with him. He was actually thinking about hiking the PCT. He had a permit for like super late going southbound. And so I was already trying to plant the seeds of like, hey, don't go in the Sierra. Because like knowing him, he would have just been like, no one's telling me what to do. Like, I don't care if it's snowing, and we'd have never heard from him again. But so he had this late southbound permit, and like we had this wonderful conversation one day. I remember I cried to Josh afterwards because I was like, that is the most normal conversation I've had with my brother in like 10 plus years. So it was weird because I was like, maybe this is a good thing, but then I would also get weird phone calls from him too. It's not like that was, and I'd be trying to plant seeds like, maybe go to a doctor now so you can find one you like and you trust before you need to go, and things like that. And then he'd be like, I don't trust those people, and blah, blah, blah. He'd say weird stuff about, like, the people he was hearing in the hotel, and, like, oh, there's all these crackheads out there. And I'm like, bro, what do you think you are? But yeah, so then one day we just kind of stopped hearing from him. Like, he had been in good, frequent contact with my parents as well. And my mom had gotten, like, a semi-weird text from him about, like, Jim Morrison, which I don't know how much you guys know about the 27 Club.
He was in The Doors. No.
The Doors.
Yeah, he was The Doors.
And he would sing about, like, death and stuff, and he was part of the 27 Club, which is, for those that don't know, there's a bunch of famous musicians and artists.
Is it 27?
Mm-hmm.
And Curtis was 27?
Mm-hmm. And so there's, like, I don't know, I have theories.
Amy
we
Winehouse.
don't. Yeah. Mac Miller. I've been
Does that
listening
go
to,
into
like,
your theories of maybe it was intentional?
Yeah, because
he
he definitely had,
together?
yes, for sure, he definitely had a fascination with it. He was turning 28 like a week
Right,
later.
it was right before it.
Yeah, and so there are a few things that make us believe it might have been intentional. He did leave. He like wrote on a piece of paper. He wrote "I love you" and like drew a heart around it, and they found that in his hotel room. And it didn't say, like, it wasn't, like a note, but it, was a little weird.
Yeah.
Definitely different for the context. Plus that text that he sent to my mom about Jim Morrison, kind of something about.
Was that the same day?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like the last text he sent her was, remember what we talked about on the dirt road about Jim Morrison. He was referring to a conversation him and my mom had about like some of his lyrics and stuff, and then that's all we really know. And we ended up doing a wellness check, and a police officer found him dead, and he was in the bathtub, and but we thought maybe the death certificate would give us some answers, because of his age and stuff. They had to do like a full autopsy and everything, and I guess, I don't know, in the county that it was in, it was like a 3-month wait. So for like 3 months we don't know anything. Then we get the death certificate and it says inconclusive, natural causes or something.
Really?
And then, yeah,
It wasn't like an overdose?
no, doesn't appear to be. And then the toxicology report just showed alcohol, but not enough to, like, he was probably
Right.
drunk, but not not pass out and
the
die drunk.
bathtub is like there's like a drug mixed with the bath, like because Aaron Carter, like things like that, where
Yeah.
it's like they went in the
and
bathtub.
well, and he didn't drown.
No.
Mm-mm. His head was above water, and like that's not what the autopsy showed. And then they also there weren't other drugs that showed up on the toxicology report. And another thing, he had asthma, so like sometimes he would take baths to like get the steam.
Yeah,
like
I do that too.
Yeah. So we're like, maybe he had an asthma. We don't know. We don't know, which is
that's so
crazy. And it's
frustrating.
been that was a really hard, still is hard sometimes. Like I read a book after he passed that was about like dealing with a loved one's suicide, and it's like it was kind of helpful, but like you're still like, well, is that what happened? And like so
well, we had talked about when my aunt had, because my
Mhm.
aunt had committed suicide, my mom's younger sister,
Mhm.
and we had talked about that, and it had been a couple of years before I asked my mom how she did it, because I knew how devastated my mom was from having it had happen. I didn't want to like make it worse, you know. But there's a part that's so like unsettling where it's just like my mind would wander, and it'd be like, there's no reason I need to know that. Like I'm not.
No, and I think that's
I'm not
very
gaining
human.
anything by knowing it, but I'm so curious. You know, like I just want to know. Well, I remember like because now I know how she did it, but until then it was just like my mind would go a million places and be like it just like it was like an unclosed thing.
Yeah.
So to be where you're at with that many.
And also part of me is like,
that's
maybe he purposely didn't want us to know, because that's a whole another thing with the 27 Club, that like Jimi Hendrix, like there's all these like conspiracy theories around it and stuff. Like, did he like I think the like official for most of them is overdose, but like some of them there's like conspiracy theories around like whether or not that's actually what happened, and like
do you
blah,
think
blah, blah.
Curtis
Courtney
was
Love.
like, okay, Curtis is really smart, but do you think he was smart enough to like to be like, not only do I want this to be what happens, but I want to be like one of the conspiracy, because I could see it.
I wouldn't put him past him, to be honest with you. Like I wouldn't put it past that, like that thought crossed his mind, and that he like somehow orchestrated something. I also wouldn't put it past him of being like doing something and being like, we'll see what happens, like I don't care what the outcome is. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, like maybe he was having really disturbing compulsions or delusions and had a moment of clarity, or maybe he fucking had like an aneurysm. But I think that would show up in an autopsy too, so I don't.
This is so fucked up to say, but like I'm saying it coming from the same perspective of like I've had this thought process of how did it happen. But if he was smart enough to make it look like a conspiracy theory and that was his goal, can you imagine how happy he would be right now watching you on this podcast being like, I can't fucking figure it out?
Yeah, part of me is like, maybe like, I don't know, like
he's probably smiling down being like,
Gotcha.
not even close.
Yeah, for
She's
sure.
not even on the right scent.
I've totally thought about that. Like, yeah, and I wouldn't put it past him. That I don't think it's like an insanely far-fetched thing to think about. He definitely like.
I kind of like that theory.
Yeah,
I know it's like you can't like any of the theories.
No,
you know,
well,
it's like objective. Yeah, but I like that theory.
What has helped me, in case anyone, I don't know, I haven't really heard of many people being in this situation, but maybe they're like me and they just like don't know how to talk about it, so they haven't yet. Is like, at the end of the day, like his schizoaffective disorder is probably what caused it. Like whatever it was, like whether even if it was an asthma attack, it's like he didn't go get help because. His mental illness was like not gonna allow him to go to a doctor.
Right. Oh yeah.
And so I've talked to my therapist a lot about it, and she was like, can that be enough of like the reason for you? And that's helped a lot with like the closure aspect of it, because it is really hard to not know. But
that's so true too, though.
Yeah,
like, it's like that is kind of like
that's what
at the base of it. That's the reason.
That's the reason. And it's like when someone has cancer, for example, and if they go to the hospital and then they catch pneumonia and then they're so weak they pass from that. It's like, yeah, technically it was pneumonia, but really it was the cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it matter if you know they had pneumonia or not?
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
So that's helped me a lot. But yeah, we can.
And I have one last question. I don't know if Chaunce has more. I do want to talk more about the hike, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know, someone listening to this who might be in a similar position, you know, whether someone close to them has passed or they're going through the stage where they're just dealing with extreme mental health of a loved one. Do you have any advice that you want to pass along, or just words of wisdom?
It's tough because I it's such a hard thing to deal with. I would say if you can, just try not to let the stigmatization of it get to you, and try to talk to people about what's going on and try to lean on your people as much as possible. I think I was better at doing that in my grief than I was when things were bad when he was alive. But there isn't like, I think that's another part of what makes this so hard is like there's not a good, I struggled a lot with figuring out how to deal with it because I didn't, it's such a weird scenario to be in. But I would say just like make sure there's people who know what you're going through and lean on them as much as you can, and like accept help when people are offering it. I think it can be tempting to like not say anything because it's such a complicated and stigmatized and, you know, tough situation. Like when a loved one is doing, like their behavior is not acceptable, even though it's caused by something they can't help. So I think, yeah, just like leaning on people as much as you can. And like my parents found a lot of hope in the NAMI support groups, like talking to other people who are maybe in similar situations, who can maybe identify a little bit more with what you're going through, because it's just such a strange thing. Not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay.
Yeah.
NAMI, just so people know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is technically coming out in June, but we are in May right now. But they are in, it looks like all the states.
Yeah, they're like everywhere. They do walks and stuff, so we're going to try
Yep.
and do the walk every year in Curtis's memory. And
they also have a helpline available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's 800-950-6264, or you can text NAMI, N-A-M-I, to 62640, or email. So if you are listening to this and you don't have the bandwidth to go and look it up, but you want to reach out to them, that's the number to call and text.
All right, the most abrupt juxtaposition of all time.
How are you gonna
Let's
say-
go back.
how are you gonna
Let's
segue?
Yeah.
lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So, give me the highlights of this trail. Like, what was the best day? What was the best like singular moment? Like, when you look back at this in 10 years, like, what's the thing that's gonna stand out to you?
For me, definitely doing it with my parents. And that's so special and I think rare. A very rare opportunity. That's always going to be when I'm going to look back most fondly on. From a more general perspective, just getting to see so much of Europe that I think you wouldn't see in any other way. Like, you're not going to go to these tiny little towns otherwise. So that was really neat. I think my favorite view was probably, I think it was leaving Vigo. There were just these incredible, you're like way up high on the coast. It was, or maybe going, there must have been one before that too. Cause going into, it's me and my dad, we ended our 20-mile day going to Bayona, and the trails going to Bayona, it's like actual trails for that part. And you're up super high on the coast. It's just stunning. That was probably one of my favorite views of the whole trek. The whole thing is beautiful. And yeah, I think it's just a really neat way to see Europe, and you're in more rural areas. So another really big takeaway for me was practicing my Spanish, because you're not in an area where some people might, if they have English, like if they speak English, they might start talking to you in English, but a lot of them, it's like they speak a teeny bit of English, I speak a teeny bit of Spanish. So like, I'll tell them that. And I definitely had a few mix-ups. It's very humbling. It was very eye-opening. Like, I know my Spanish isn't good, but it was like, oh, it's really, really not good.
Can you get by with Spanish in Portugal?
No. And that's, well, maybe. But that's a good question, because Portuguese people do not like when you assume that they speak Spanish.
Sure.
Which I know, but also you're also in areas in Portugal where people maybe don't speak a lot of English. So you can try. Like, I don't know if this was, I think it's just like they don't want you to say like gracias. Like you say obrigado or obrigada if you're a woman. That's an interesting piece of Portuguese. It's like, it's based on your gender when you say thank you.
It's like French.
Obrigada
and
or
Thai.
obrigado. Yeah. And so like, you don't want to walk around being like, gracias, in Portugal. But sometimes if I could tell there was a language barrier with someone, I would ask, like, hablas español, because I could do that a little bit better than what we were able to do in English. And sometimes they would, like, speak Spanish because it's so close. But they don't, you shouldn't assume it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. We learned doing the Northville Placid Trail, not with my dad, but alongside my dad in different capacities, a fun parent quirk, which is that he likes to think out loud.
My dad does that too.
What fun parent quirks did you learn, or were, maybe you didn't learn them because you already knew about them, but were at the forefront of this hike? What was the sprinkles and cherry on
So my
the
dad,
parents?
my dad, love him to death. He ruminates on things and also thinks out loud. And he is also obsessed with, like, stats. He loves his Garmin watch. But he is horrible at remembering to start and stop it. And so
that is hard in his defense.
I know. Yeah. And he's so funny. He's so smart. And, like, he worked with computers his whole life. But then sometimes some tech things are, like, it's a really interesting, like, what does and doesn't click. But, the Garmin specifically was, like, I literally at one point I was like, Dad, I'm about to ban you from talking about the Garmin watch, because he would forget to pause it, and then he would just constantly talk about shaving off the part of it, because you know how, like, when you pause it, or if you keep it running and you're sitting for a long time, it makes, like,
Your average?
it makes the, like, the satellite, like, jumps around. It makes it seem like you walked, like, 1/10 of a mile or something. It's
no, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking about how it averages the time.
Oh no, he didn't care about the timing. He cared about the GPS pings from him sitting, like, creating, like, the, like, scribble on the map. And so that was just, like, a constant topic of conversation. And I about lost it.
What app are you guys using to navigate?
So there's a few apps that are Camino specific. But honestly, I use Gaia most of the time.
Okay.
And then, that's another thing. My dad would, like, constantly be like, well, Google Maps. I'm like, well, Google Maps doesn't have the map that we're using. Like, that might be a more direct route, but if we're going to follow the Camino, it's going to be, I can tell you, it says it's going to be 5 miles. And he'd be like, well, Google Maps says it's only going to take 2 hours. And
He's
I'm like,
walking on the side of a throughway.
Yeah, exactly. But he wouldn't, like, he would follow the actual trail, but then I would also be trying to mitigate my mom's expectations, because she was, like, ready to be done a lot of days. And so I was like, he'd be like, oh, it's only going to take 40 minutes. I'm like, Mom, don't listen to Dad. It's going to take an hour and a half. Like, so I was kind of, like, trying to make sure that.
So besides your mom being done with the days before the days are done, what were her fun quirks?
One thing that, like, I discovered I was wrong about, I'm going to admit, I guess they travel with this other couple that's their age a lot. And I guess they constantly, like, do this motion when they're ready for the check, where they, like, put their hand up and, like, motion for the check. And I thought that was really rude. I was like, I think that's really rude. I don't think you should do that. And she's like, and she'll always do that. She has, like, a habit of, like, and when surfers are walking by, even if they haven't come to check on us, she'll, like, wave them down. I'm like, Mom, just wait. And we ended up asking a guy, like, one of our last nights, and he was like, no, that's not rude at all. We do that all the time here. Like, that's not a big deal at all. And I was like, okay, I was wrong.
Great.
Yeah. That was one of hers. There's probably more, but those are the ones I'm thinking of right now.
How did you manage your sanity in it? Because, like, Dad, earplugs, sometimes there's a 3-day, like, you know, the 3-day thing where it's like after 3 days, it stops. Your nice face goes out the window and your child self comes out and you start getting fussy. I can't imagine.
I was really nervous about that going into this, honestly. I love my parents, of course, but, like, any family, like, we can have, like, some tough dynamics sometimes. And I definitely was nervous about that. And I think what was really great about this trip is the first few days were a little bit tough, especially, like, the travel. I think, I don't know if it's because they're older, it's a generational difference. I just feel like sometimes we just move. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Like, you just move differently through public spaces than your parents do. And so those parts were a little more stressful. But I was able to get in a headspace of, like, I do not need to micromanage this. Like, that's not my responsibility. My parents are nice people. They're not hurting anyone. They're not offending anyone. They're not being mean to anyone. I don't need to micromanage their every move. Like, and that was a big, learning experience for me because I needed to internalize that, like, I'm making this stressful for myself because I'm trying to micromanage every little thing, and that's not necessary. My parents are not mean. They're not being mean to people. They get through life every single day on their own, and they're just fine.
Are you sorting out her mantras that she repeated to herself here? Because I can sense some mantras.
And so, and like once I was able, and you know, of course I had like slip ups here and there, and I'm sure they got annoyed with me doing weird stuff too. But like, I think overall it like went so well, and like it was a really good learning experience in that regard for me. Like, it was really nice to be able to spend that time with them and to be able to let go of some of those things that in the past have been a problem. I think just when you're younger, I think you have that natural, like, I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Was any part of the micromanaging because you have so much backpacking experience? Like, you feel like almost a sense of leadership? Like, I've done this before. This is second nature to me. You guys.
Honestly, because it's so different from U.S. backpack, like not U.S. backpacking, but like wilderness backpacking, that I think it was less that and maybe more just, I will say, my dad, one thing, he got ultras like right before, like a few months ago, and he kept complaining that like I think it was like his plantar fascias was hurting him, and I said, I think it's because you switched to zero drop.
Yeah.
And I was like, you need to either be alternating or stop wearing zero drop shoes. And I said it to him so many times. And then he got Lone Peaks to start. Then he went to a running store, and I guess they told him that he got some Temps, I think, and they told him that they weren't zero drop, and I was like, they definitely are. They definitely are. And so then finally I was like, Dad, you need to get different shoes before we go, because it was bothering him. Mm-hmm. And he ended up with some Topos, and he said it did help. Oh. And so in that regard, like that kind of stuff, yes, because I had to get to a point where I was like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna lose it, because he would just be like, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that, and I was like, no, it's because they're zero drop shoes. That's why they're hurting you, because you didn't ease into it. Yeah. I know exactly what's happening. Like, it's not a maybe, it's like that's what's happening. Yeah. So maybe with like that kind of thing, but I feel like they also like he does listen. He appreciates like my input, which is great. It's just sometimes I think I have to be like very, very direct. And yeah, in general, I would say it was more just like the aspect of traveling with your parents, not so much the backpacking aspect.
We've got your dynamics in terms mm-hmm. of what part of your parents pet peeved. Mm-hmm. What did they do that got on each other's nerves?
Oh, well, just the same thing as always. Like my dad, him and I both hyper focus on things. And so like if we're doing something, we don't hear anything. And so that really bothers my mom, understandably so. And so that was like, you know, the main thing would be like, Steve, hello. Or like, the thing, he forgot his watch charger. And so that was a whole thing for so long. And then like, sometimes he would be like, well, maybe they have it there. And we'd be like, well, why don't you go check? And then, and I kind of told my mom too, is like, I gave her the advice that I was giving myself, which was like, you don't need to micromanage him. It's up to him if he wants to get his watch charger. Like, if he doesn't, then he doesn't have it, and that's okay. It's like, if it matters that much to him, he'll go into the store and he'll look for it. Like, but that would annoy her. And then my dad, I think, with my mom, he's a very like patient person overall, but I think when he gets hyper focused, my mom can get kind of like short tempered, and then that's just like a reinforcing cycle. So I would say that's their thing that they could work on. But yeah,
I love family dynamics mm-hmm. on a trip.
Yeah.
In terms of gear, obviously you're staying in hotels, so like that eliminates
great.
70% of what you need to carry.
In Camino in general too, I would say the gear is probably the same, because albergues are going to be the same thing. So like there's no camping on a Camino.
Is there any gear that you highly recommend for something like this?
I got my parents and myself Gossamer Gear umbrellas.
Nice.
Any ultralight umbrella, of course, but that's the one I've used the most.
Is this more for rain, sun, both?
Rain, sun, both. I used it mostly for rain, but I got them each one. We all used them. It rained a decent amount, and it was nice to have them. Otherwise, you're just like in poncho. I don't know. I prefer an umbrella personally.
Yeah, I agree.
My friend, Veggie, has a really good blog about like all the stuff she recommended packing, and honestly a Camino packing list. Traveling Nature Journal is her blog, and she also has a lot of like Camino itineraries and stuff on there if people are interested in like deep diving into that.
Former guest of the pod, I believe.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. We met on the CDT. She's great. And she also did it with her mom. So, yeah, it was helpful to like have her stuff as a resource. I would say if me and my dad did not use trekking poles. My mom was really happy to have them. If you are going to use trekking poles, make sure you get the rubber tips, because a lot of times you're on cobblestone and pavement.
Oh, and that sound.
Yeah. So rubber tips are necessary. Otherwise, it was mostly just like the stuff you were wearing every day, and then like rain gear. And then
Did it rain a lot?
It did rain a decent amount, yeah, especially in Spain.
Is that because of the season?
I think it's normal there.
Oh.
I think it's a wet climate there, and maybe also the season. But that's like the most common. I think that's the time of year people typically recommend is when we went. So April, May.
What were the temperatures like?
Very lovely. I definitely sweat some of the days, but never super duper hot. Like high 60s to low 80s.
What was your start and end date?
April 30th and then May 12th. Yeah.
How far in advance did you book the service?
I think my mom booked it in like October.
The other people hiking this are what nationality? What's the mix?
A huge mix, which is cool. That was one of my favorite parts of it. Because I'm used to more like isolated hikes. I know I can be a bit of a curmudgeon when it comes to, but in this context, I feel like that's part of what makes like a Camino special is there's so many people on it. And they're from all over the place. I would say probably more European and Canadian and US than, too many other continents that I spoke to. But, I mean, we met some Russians, I'm pretty sure. I talked to some Italians one day.
What percentage would you say was American?
I don't know. Hard to say.
Others
Met a lot of
besides you?
Canadians. Oh yeah, for sure. One of the ladies we like made good friends with was from Wisconsin. Talked to her about she lives in Madison actually.
Did you tell her about the bar that you got banned from?
We don't remember
No.
the name.
No, I didn't. But I did mention the Ice Age Trail. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get too specific with that, but she was really cool. She kind of became, I would say, like the closest we had to a trail family. We ended up having several like mini meals with her and would run into people day over day and stuff. So that's cool. I've actually met a girl who knew me from Instagram. Her name's
Really?
Megan. Shout out to Megan. She was doing it with her parents. She would be a great guest in the future too, because she's developing a long trail in Georgia, the country.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that was like a halfway point for them to meet was the Camino. So, so that was really neat. And we ran into them a few times. So you definitely like see people.
The other Damascus.
Say that again.
The other Damascus.
Oh, in Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is it?
When you Google Damascus, that's usually the
Is
one
that
that
where
comes
it
up.
is? Is Georgia?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was. Is it?
I thought it was in like Israel or
I
something.
thought that too.
Or not.
Oh, there's one in Syria also.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
the one
Syria,
that
not
everyone knows.
Israel.
Damascus.
That's like how you're there's a Denver in North Carolina.
Oh, never mind. It is Syria.
Yeah.
Syria makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't want to call you out. You
There's
see how
Jesus
I
for
wasn't
it.
very confident, but I was like, really?
But
Erase that from the record.
yeah.
Polly
Especially
did not
if
cut that.
But yeah, so I think I don't know when she'll be stateside next. I know she's taking a break from, I think she was going to travel a little bit after the Camino and stuff, but that was really neat. Small world.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen to me a lot, but
It's
I
exciting
could
when
tell
it
she was
does.
looking at me and I was like, did I do something weird? And then I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then finally, like we kind of like saw them at one point, and then like 10 feet later, like kind of ran into them again. She was like, I'm sorry, this is weird, but you look like this thru hiker that I followed on Instagram for a long time. And I was like, I think, yeah, that's probably, I mean, I think that's me. And I like never know how to react in that situation, because I'm like, that's so sweet that you recognize me, and you're probably, I don't know. I just never know how to like.
I feel dirty getting excited about it, but I'm like, sometimes it's kind
really
of exciting.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun to meet people that way. Like I've met, no one has ever, every interaction I've had like that has been nothing but pleasant. And so it feels like, oh, I got to make a new friend.
Yeah.
Like it happens to the brewery sometimes, and it's always really funny because I don't really talk about, I guess this episode I did kind of a few times, but typically I don't talk about my other jobs. And so like people will, they'll not be expecting it because they don't know I work there and it's out of context. They're just like, wait, what? I didn't know. Yeah. And I'm like, hi, like, nice to meet you. And a lot of times we've like probably messaged before and stuff. So
when I got done with the PCT, I was out to drinks with a guy in Golden, and a lovely couple came up to the table we were at, and they're like, I'm so sorry, like, I don't want to be weird, I watch your YouTube videos.
That's so funny. On a date?
I felt, it wasn't a date, I was just out to drinks with a guy.
Okay.
We had maybe crossed paths that way in the past, and so whatever, but the amount of just like mystery and like who's that girl I felt, because we were just reconnecting after like 5 years, me and this guy. I went to drinks with him and they came up and I was like, I don't feel like my ego, like I don't feel any cooler as a person, same. But if I could view myself through his lens and like we're out to drinks after like 5 years, like who's that girl?
Yeah. Yeah, like people
so
recognize her in public. Oh my god.
So
and
fun.
Yeah, it doesn't have like, I don't, like you said, it's not like an ego thing.
No, you can't take it seriously.
Yeah, but it's really, it was cool. And also then I got to connect with this girl who's so cool. So yeah, if she's ever back in the States, we should get Megan on. But
you can co-host it.
But yeah, it was cool to I would love to. I'll only co-host for my friends. I'm just kidding.
You can co-host for everyone.
But yeah, in general, I think if you're the kind of person who likes it, honestly kind of made me more interested in the AT, because one day I'll hike it. It's not anytime soon, but like I've always been a little bit nervous about the amount of people, because I'm typically, I think I lean more towards like a more spread out from people kind of hike. But it was so cool to just see so many different people from all over the world and get to talk to people from different places and run into them like you do on a through hike. You're just like, oh, I saw you in this last town, and like now I see you again, and just like chat. And I really appreciated that aspect.
So. I think you do better on the AT than you think. I think
that I don't think I would dislike it. It's just
I think that, but I think that if you went into it not knowing there'd be all the people, like that would be like if you went in thinking it would be like the CDT, you would really not like it. But if you're going in expecting lots of people, then you're not going to be shocked.
Yeah, and this made me more open to that experience. And I think especially in the albergues, I think you end up seeing a lot of people, and obviously my experience was pretty different from that, but it's definitely like a community oriented, and also solo if that's what you want it to be. Like if you don't want to link up or anything, no one's like pressuring you to do that.
Well, the coastal route, when I was looking at the Camino Way website, said that it's one of the more secluded, and like
definitely,
if you want peace,
especially in Portugal, there's definitely not as many. You'll definitely still see, they call them pilgrims. So you'll see pilgrims in like pretty frequently, but on the coastal route, especially while we were in Portugal, was a lot more sparse. Then once you get to Vigo in Spain, it really started to pick up. Like sometimes in the mornings there'd be just like, I could see 30 people in front of me. It's not like crowded, like everything's wide enough. You're not really on single track. One thing that I didn't love about it, some of it is on like roads, and European roads are so narrow, and so like you'll be like on the side of a road and the car is like coming through. You just have to keep an eye out for sure. I didn't feel dangerous, but it's definitely something to like keep in mind. Like sometimes you're on like a cobblestone walkway in between buildings, and it like maybe doesn't feel like a road to someone from the United States, but then a car drives by and you're like,
small cars over there.
Yeah. And so but like all the cars were really respectful. Like no one like zoomed by. There are some parts where you're at like faster roads, but there's usually like a big wide path on those areas. So it was definitely something that was different, but not like scary, I would say.
What's the funniest thing that happened on the trip?
Funniest thing, I know there was a few instances where I translated things wrong, and I'm trying to think. I should have like written things down, but one thing I'm thinking of, this isn't that funny, but I was trying to order pizza for us at one of the stops that was definitely like geared towards pilgrims, and they didn't speak very much English, and so I like, that's one thing I can kind of do, and they brought out this pizza that we had ordered, but I thought they said like it had, I forget what they said was on it, but I thought it was different from what it wasn't the same name that it was on the menu. So I was like, yo pienso es por otra persona, no sé. And so they brought it back, and then we were like waiting a really long time, and then I went back and they were like, you said it wasn't, they like in Spanish, they were like, you said it wasn't for you. And I was like, lo siento, mi español no es muy bien. And then she was just like, no preocupas, no te preocupas, like don't worry. Like it resolved fine. She was so sweet, but I felt really bad because I just big goof for like 20 minutes.
I feel like recounting a conversation in Spanish is like pretty good Spanish.
Until you try and like
that sounded really good to me.
There was another situation where I like went to a vendor and I wanted to get this necklace, and she was like, I was like, ¿cuántos por eso? Like how much for this? Or por este, how much for this? And she was like 13, and I thought in my head that was 30, but it's 13, and I was like, I would pay 13 euros, not 30. And then luckily she put it on a calculator, and then she started saying stuff to me, and I was like, lo siento, mi español no es muy bien. Cuando personas hablar más despacio, yo entiendo, pero cuando personas hablar más rápido, no sé.
I don't know anything you're fucking
saying. I said,
right
when
now.
people talk really slow, I can understand. When they talk really fast, I can't. I don't understand. And she was really sweet, and then she started talking to me really slowly, and
but at least you didn't try to barter with her, and you were like, how about 15?
Yeah.
And she's
like,
sure.
Yeah.
I'll charge you
really
$2
nice.
more.
Yeah. And we had like a really nice driver one time too. He also like talked to me really slow the whole time, and like he like understood. He spoke like 4 languages everyone over. And like one time this Italian guy was like, hey, like how's it going? Or he started talking to me in Spanish, and so then I started talking back to him in Spanish, and then he kind of started talking English, and so then I just started talking English. And then he was like, I thought you were Spanish. And I was like, no, I'm from the United States. And, but it was funny because, yeah, we just.
Did you feel really good
I
about
did.
yourself?
I was like, oh, thanks.
A woman in Italy talked to me in German.
Yeah.
I felt really good about myself.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. Well, when I've been in Germany for like 3 days total of my entire life, but everyone there would
Every
start
single
speaking
time.
to me in German. I think it's because I look German.
Are you not German?
I am, yeah.
No.
You look more German with the bangs.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you seen the bangs?
No.
Wait.
Your contact
Oh, my
photo?
my childhood photo. Yeah, I think we're like we're English and stuff, but yeah, I think it's the like I have kind of, I guess people have told me Nordic features.
That's my contact photo for Elise.
Nice.
Every time she calls, that pops up.
Yeah, I cut my own bangs once, and my mom had to fix them, and that's the length that they could be. So
My favorite photo of
I was
you.
ahead of the microbang trend.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. So yeah.
So just mishaps in communication.
Yeah, mishaps in communication was probably the funniest.
That's pretty good.
There
You
was
got
some
off
other
easy.
stuff, but I'm not really remembering it, unfortunately.
All right, the last thing I want to talk about here is CPAP. We
Oh,
were talking
yes.
about this a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
before we got into
Mhm.
the podcast, and I was very surprised by the fact that you're using a CPAP machine, because my
Yes.
association with somebody who needs a CPAP, who has sleep apnea, is typically like an
Yeah.
overweight man.
Yes, that is the common demographic that people think of. But there are a lot of reasons you can have obstructive sleep apnea. I'll find out, hopefully, why soon. I'm going to go to a sleep dentist, and they're going to do a CT scan of my head and see. You don't have to do this, but I'm kind of curious because, like, if it's something, if it's a tongue tie, that's something you can fix. And then,
A tongue tie?
yeah, I think it's
That's
something.
an actual thing? That's a
Yeah.
condition?
Yeah, I think it's when, you know that, like, piece in your tongue?
The little uh-huh?
Yeah, I think if
Uh-uh.
that is somehow not how it's supposed to be, it can cause your tongue to, like, block your airway when you sleep and relax.
Are people talking about that thing when they say, are you tongue-tied?
I think that is probably where that expression came from. Because sometimes babies are born with it and they have to be cut because it can affect your speech and stuff. I don't know.
Let me see yours. Hold on.
I don't think that's my problem.
Show me yours.
Dr. Chaunce over here is going to diagnose.
a big one. What's mine look like?
Oh, it's big. Maybe it is the problem. Yours looks normal to me.
Yours looks like it's got 2.
Maybe that's
It's like
my problem.
a side by side. Is
Maybe
mine
that's-
1 or 2?
One.
You got 2.
Interesting.
My
Well, maybe
eyes.
that is my problem.
Well, it's not. It's just like a
Um,
thick boy.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem. Maybe they
Maybe.
just have to cut it and I'll be fine.
But that has nothing to do with
We
when you're
know.
breathing. It's under your
Well,
tongue.
So maybe it's the opposite, but if my tongue, some people, if their tongue relaxes and then blocks their airway when they sleep. So I don't know what's causing. Obstructive sleep apnea can be caused by, if you're overweight, you can press on your throat, and then like that causes sleep problems. There's also this thing called central sleep apnea, which we thought it could maybe be that, and it actually can happen more at altitude. And that's basically, I'm not a medical professional, but basically you essentially like pass out in your sleep. You inhale and exhale too much because you're not getting enough oxygen, and then you like make yourself pass out in your sleep. But I don't have that. I have obstructive. So it's something in my anatomy that causes my airway to close while I'm sleeping. And mine is severe, which is basically just qualified. It's qualified on how many, quote, interruptions you have per night. So I think the measurement is like if you stop breathing for 3 or more seconds, and it causes an interruption.
How do they track this? Is it Aura Ring?
There's a sleep, yeah. It's kind of like that. They now have sleep tests. Some people still need the ones where you like go in and get like hooked up to a machine.
Study.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I was able to just do it at home. They actually have they have a really great office up where I'm at in Summit County, probably because a lot of people maybe deal with centralized or sleep conditions up there because the altitude's really high. But yeah, I just like, they dropped a ring off to me, and you like you wear it, and it hooks up to a Bluetooth that like tracks everything, and then you just turn it back in, and then they give you the study results, and your doctor like goes over them with you. And basically I was having an average of like 36 interruptions per night, so that's like, or per hour, sorry. So it's really, it was a lot. I was not sleeping well.
So one every 2 seconds.
Yeah, basically.
Their definition is if you stop breathing for 3 to 4 seconds, or if you move.
I think it has to do with your oxygenation, how much it drops in a time span. And so I was having 36 events per hour on average. And then...
so it's measuring your blood oxygen.
That's part of it. I think there's other ways that they...
The interruptions are like, if like let's say I I catch a snore, and then it like causes me to stir, and I'm no longer in a deep.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised they haven't referred me one of these, because when I go for my asthma... Well, when I go for my asthma, I tell them, I'm like, listen, my main spiel that I give every time is like, look, I'm not trying to like cause problems. I'm not trying to like get crazy meds. I just want to be able to breathe. And I think that's that's like a basic thing of life. But like at night, I wake up periodically throughout the night because I'm not breathing. Like I will.
That's one of the symptoms.
Be in a position where I'm not breathing, and I wake up because I'm like, oh my god, I'm suffocating.
You wake up gasping for air. That's one of the symptoms.
I'm suffocating in my dream, and then I wake up. I'm like, oh no, I'm actually suffocating.
I used to have dreams where I would be underwater in a pool.
They just keep giving me Advair. They're like, try this.
You should ask specifically for an at-home sleep test.
At-home sleep test. Okay.
And yeah, it's super easy. So I think a lot of people will shy away from it because they think they have to do the overnight thing in the hospital. And if there's more going on, you might have to. But if it's sleep apnea, then they'll be able to figure that out.
If you're like watching me on site, like I feel like I'm going to perform differently.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, are you observing me and my creature habits, or are you like putting me under a spotlight?
Yeah. And this is like, they want you to do it like how you normally would sleep with the partner. If you normally sleep with someone,
you just bring him in
the bed. No, with the sleep test at home. But they probably should do that because that's probably the most normal, you know. But and before, so my oxygen was dropping pretty low. I have my test results pulled up actually because I didn't want to misquote anything. So before I had my CPAP, my oxygenation would, for like 4 hours, for like 52% of the night, my SpO2 was less than 88. And so for context, normal conditions is like 97. People don't normally have like 100%. But what is it
at 10,000 feet? Because I know the blood oxygen level, like even at Denver is...
So my doctor was kind of like, you're kind of borderline for being up here. They say up there like 93 is more normal. But I was less than 90 for 85% of the night, and then less than 88 for 52% of the night. And so they were like, she was like, you're kind of borderline. And, so they actually did another one once I got my, CPAP to see if I needed, some people need supplemental oxygen on top of, their CPAP, but they found that my CPAP was doing enough on its own. So I didn't, so mine actually went up to, I think, no time below 88, with my CPAP. I think I was all above 90.
So,
and then, Yeah.
How are you going to manage this with a backpacking
Yeah.
trip now?
So that was the biggest thing I was worried about, because I was like, how am I going to, I don't want to be tired again all the time. My biggest symptom was fatigue. I didn't snore or anything like that, which for some people that can be an indicator, but I just had like really severe fatigue. And there are a few different things you can do. The CPAP brand that I use, they have a travel machine, and some people, I've spent a lot of time looking on Reddit, because these things are expensive. Like the travel machine is $1,000. And that is nice because it doesn't require distilled water. That's obviously it would be a big thing to have to deal with in the backcountry, and it's a lot smaller. But it still has like a tubing and a face mask. So you have all your normal stuff that you like wear on at night, but the machine's a lot smaller and doesn't require distilled water. But then you also have to carry a battery. So I think one person on Reddit said like their whole setup with their travel machine was like 7 pounds. But I was looking into, there's this thing called there's probably a few different machines that do, or like devices that do this, but the one I looked at was called a Bongo RX, and it's literally just like a little teeny thing. It just like goes in your nose like nose plugs. They're attached, but they just like they sit in your nostrils, and it's I think it's it's called an EPAP device, which is like, the PAP is positive airway pressure, and basically this doesn't, it only uses like your exhale as the pressure creation, so it's really hard to exhale with it through your nose, but because of that it keeps your airway open. And so I did a sleep test with that just to make sure it was working, and it made a huge difference. Like my interruptions went down to 17 on average, so it like cut it about in half. So it's not perfect, but my oxygenation stayed up way higher, so I was only less than 88 for a minute of that, so it's literally 0% of the study, and only less than 90% for 8 minutes, so 2%. So it kept my oxygenation higher, which is probably like one of the big factors while backpacking. And then definitely reduced my interruptions, didn't eliminate them, so it's not perfect. It's not as good as a CPAP at home, but I've used it on like a hut trip, and it worked really well. I haven't gotten to go on like a long backpacking trip with it to see, but because I also don't want to sacrifice a night at home, just like, but it worked on the hut trip, and according to the sleep study, it definitely worked as well. So that's going to be I also put I have to do a few other things because my mouth comes open when I sleep, and so I use this thing called a Somno-Seal, which for some people mouth tape would do the same thing, but mouth tape didn't work for me because what would happen is the air would blow into my mouth, and because the mouth tape still has like a little open seal, it would like all come out there and my cheeks would puff up and it would wake me up. So the Somno-Seal goes like underneath your lips above your teeth, and it's like a piece of plastic, basically like flexible plastic, and you just put it in there, and then I wear a chin strap. So I'm just like all geared up when I go to bed now.
Got all the tools.
But that with the Bongo works really well, and then I also wear that when I use my CPAP. But so that's my current solution, but I think a travel machine would probably be even better if you wanted to lug around the 7 pounds. But yeah, right now I've traveled with a CPAP a bunch of times, and the biggest challenge with that is just finding distilled water.
Yeah.
It was really hard in Costa Rica for some reason. It wasn't hard in Europe, but in Costa Rica, like any pharmacy usually has it. I don't know if they were just out because there were a bunch of people traveling or what, but I got really good at Tienes Agua Destilada. They didn't have it at Walmart. We finally found it at like one of the pharmacies. And so, yeah, but
I'm super bummed because when I was doing the Pink Blaze editing stuff, I edited a video for a guy that he sent videos. I mean, he did a Camino too, and he had done a whole video on his CPAP that he carried on trail, and he had 2 batteries for it. It was a specific, and he named the source of it. He was in a tent, and he listed his whole setup, and it was really informative. And I remember I mentioned it to you.
My guess is he probably had a travel machine if he had batteries and stuff. Like the Air Mini is the one that I would probably end up getting, the ResMed Air Mini.
I'm searching
just 'cause
him on Google too.
My CPAP is a ResMed. And I ended up, in case anyone's curious, because we had luggage transportation, I just put my CPAP, I just didn't pack that much and left enough space in it in my bag. So I just set up my whole CPAP every night, which is not that hard. It was just a matter of, I was a little bit worried about having it within the luggage transportation. I just made sure to like pad it, and we had travel insurance, so if anything had happened to it, I would have been able to get it reimbursed that way, because those are not cheap either. They're like $2,500. Yeah.
Well, the one he was taking wasn't cheap either, but it was the weight. I'm just bummed I can't. I just searched his name on Google. I can only find a far out linked article, so I'm thinking maybe he took his channel down.
Maybe. Yeah.
Sad.
Great. Well, thank you for that full rundown. We're going to do the sponsor question. I'm actually going to do a little bit of a mishmash here. This is the Stay Salty question, maybe presented by Element. Use our URL, drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. I'm actually more intrigued by the question that we do for Topo, which is top performance, or I'm going to say ultra running hack. Like, what are the things that you're doing? You mentioned having a run coach. Do you have any like nutrition, recovery? Yeah, obviously we just got done talking about a portable CPAP machine. Like, now that you're doing significant running, I'm curious, what sort of things have you instilled into your routine to help you recover?
Recover.
Or it doesn't have to be recovery purely. Anything, I guess, related to just like performing at a high level.
I love taking a bath after my long runs. And I pour a bunch of Epsom salt in there, and just that always feels really good. I don't know if it's necessarily doing anything. Helps a ton. I do bartend, and weirdly, I think that having a bartending shift after a run, not something you want to do, but I think being on my feet and moving around and not just sitting on the couch, is just what I would do if left to my own devices, keeps me from getting like really sore. That helps a lot. So if you can like go on a long walk or something after your runs. Eating, you just have to eat a lot and remember to eat a lot. And even if you're not that hungry, just remember how much you're burning.
Do you have cues for knowing when you should eat when you're not reliant on hunger?
Just like if I haven't eaten that much that day, or if I have a long run the next day, especially, I'm like, I need to be eating more than like my normal amount. Like my normal food intake isn't going to cut it. So making sure I'm adding like having a bagel with breakfast instead of just eggs, or try to just like increase it in small ways. I don't track. Maybe I should, but I don't like to do that. So just trying to eat more and listen to my hunger cues and indulge them as much as possible. I like the bath one. The last marathon I ran, and I mean that probably literally. Well, I was completely untrained. This is because I finished last in my fantasy football league, but when I finished, like, it was just painful to exist. Like, I was like lying on the living room floor, and there was nothing I could do to get the pain to go away. Finally, Jenna talked me into a hot bath, and like that was the fix. A hot bath fixed everything.
I can't believe you had to be talked into one. The house I live in now, that I've lived in for the past 3 years, it's a great house because I live with Garrett and we have a pool, but it's not a great house in that we don't have a bathtub. And I'm a strong advocate of baths. I will take a bath over a shower any day. I don't like water in my face. I'm a cat when it comes to showers. But girl, will I spend 3 hours in a bath in a night. And so I can't believe she had to talk you into it. But
I'm not a bath guy.
All that to say, you guys are talking about baths, and it's making me mad because I don't have one at the moment, but I'm about to have one.
Probably in every bathroom.
Yeah, but like that doesn't make it a good bath. I'm about to have a good bath. I'm about to have like a tub.
Yeah. You can find me in the tub.
Hot tubs, if you have access to like a rec center too.
No, I don't want other people's sweat.
No, I know. I always end up. We have
when
a
you see
hot
the
tub
bubbles
at,
in the
like,
hot
our
tub.
thing.
Have you heard that that's like skin juice?
Ew.
Like when you see like the bubbles like frothing on the surface of
Is that
the
real?
hot tub. Apparently, it's like skin juice. That's what I heard.
Throw the challenge.
And once I read that, now I see bubbles in a hot tub, and I go, ugh.
You also can't put Epsom salt in
You can't
a hot
put
tub.
no, you can't.
Unless it's like your own
Or
personal
bath
hot
bombs.
tub. So yeah, that's why I like my bath.
Bubbles and foam in your hot tub are not dead skin themselves, but dead skin and body oils act as surfactants that trap air bubbles and create the foam.
Surfactant, as in something that stays on the surface,
So it
traps the air
causes-
bubbles and the foam. And I did not say it was dead skin. I said it was skin juice, and it said oils in your answer. That means I'm right. Skin juice.
Yeah.
Other people's skin, especially at like an Airbnb. You turn it on, you get those bubbles. Other people's skin juice.
Yeah. It definitely sounds like that's what causes it. So yeah.
But a
Which,
bath.
I mean, I always would probably shower after anyway, but yeah. And sometimes I go in there and I'm not even intending to take a bath, and then I'm like, I need to sit down, and then it, becomes a bath. So, yeah.
Good stuff. You've done it before, but do it again. Plug your social media where people should go to keep up with you.
It's mostly Elise Ott everywhere, at Elise.Ott on Instagram, Elise Ott on YouTube. Those are my main. I go and, I mean, I post everything on TikTok too, but yeah.
Hell yeah. And she's the brains behind the Backpacker Radio operation as well. So.
I try.
Are you sticking around for segments? Yes.
Yeah,
Obviously.
Okay. We'll do that now. Okay. I have a bonus segment. I don't know. I don't think this is news.
Is it trivia?
No.
Oh.
We're done with the trivia. Though that was a fun one. This is, again, we're doing Lyme disease. This is something that surfaced on my Instagram recently, though I don't think that this is, like I said, I don't think this is brand new, but new enough. And I had never heard of this as someone that is paranoid about Lyme disease. Is apparently one of the ways that they're testing trying to combat Lyme disease is by using genetically modified mice. So the main way that apparently deer ticks are contracting the bacteria for Lyme disease is from mice, and they're trying to use genetically modified mice to help combat that. Core project Mice Against Ticks, led by Kevin Esvelt at MIT's Media Lab, his Sculpting Evolution group. The project targets white-footed mice, which are the primary reservoir for the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. Ticks acquire the pathogen by feeding on infected mice, not primarily from deer, a common misconception. The logic is make mice resistant, and ticks that feed on them won't pick up the bacteria, breaking the transmission cycle. The plan involves introducing genes that cause mice to produce antibodies against the bacteria, making them immunologically resistant. This is distinct from a traditional self-spreading gene drive, though gene drive concepts have been part of the broader research conversation. What made this notable beyond the science, Esvelt was unusually proactive about community engagement, holding public meetings on Nantucket, a target island with high Lyme rates, before pursuing trials. He framed this as the model for how to do ecologically interventionist research transparently. That community consent approach got significant attention, and this was back in the summer of last year, 25. The most recent research, a 2026 paper in Nature Communications, reported success engineering lab mice to produce a single-chain antibody against the bacteria. Heterozygous mice showed strong resistance to infection and effectively interrupted the transmission cycle in testing. The team has also established protocols to engineer the actual target species, the white-footed mouse. This is a meaningful step, moving from concept to peer-reviewed lab validation. I don't want to bore with additional details that aren't exciting here. But yeah, apparently one of the things they're talking about doing is releasing just a shit ton of these genetically modified mice to break the cycle of transmission.
Nothing can go wrong there, right?
I know. This feels like a Simpsons episode or something like that. It will introduce something far worse. But I see so much Lyme in the news right now. I know it's worse this year than it has been in prior years, but it just feels like there's something in the zeitgeist that is happening.
Yeah, they're like paying attention to it now finally, which is great.
It is great. And the vaccine is progressing, which I know that there's some skepticism in our culture with that currently, but this is something that we have to figure out because especially in New England, this is just such a true epidemic that we got to get the best scientists figuring this one out. I thought using genetically engineered mice was
super interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah. I share your kind of just like, this has to go poorly.
I'm sure they're factoring that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the initial reaction is definitely like, oh, are we going to have mutant mice now?
Yeah.
That are resistant, and now we have an overrun of mice because they're not dying from, I don't even know if it kills the mice or if they just pass it along.
If they get infected with the bacteria, I don't believe it kills them. I don't know that to be.
So maybe, I don't know. Maybe doesn't really make much of a difference to the mice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime Lyme disease.
Maybe they can do that for Hanta too.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm sure by the time this comes out, that'll be especially true, but I feel like it's left the news cycle.
Yeah. I think so too. And I remember I was first introduced to that, I think a long, long time ago in a bathroom, in a public, a national park bathroom. And I've been afraid of mice ever since. So
I think I learned about it in, a walk in the woods. I think in the beginning he's going through like all the things that can go wrong on a backpacking trip. And then I know there were some notable cases of hantavirus on the PCT over the last
I think that's the
years.
bathrooms that I saw it in, was like in Yosemite or something.
Yeah.
They had some signs up that were like, be careful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I was able to negatively affect Jenna's perception of mice when I dropped the fun fact that hantavirus comes from mice, because she thinks, like, she just sees a cute little critter.
Yeah, oh,
and,
I
like,
wish I could. They terrify me.
Yeah, no, my protective, especially now with kids, my protective dad instinct comes into play. It's like, yeah, they're cute, but I'm going to kill anyone that tries to get close to my house.
Yeah, they're diseased.
They are nasty. So, yeah, that was the Lyme disease update.
There's a fun thing happening in the hallway right now where there's a cell phone on the this is inside baseball for whoever knows the layout of our office. There's a cell phone on the water fountain on the loudest volume playing Spanish music. And the door to the bank is open.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there is no one in sight. Nor has there been on my way in or out. The door to the bank's wide open right now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's part of the bonus segment. That's a bonus segment.
So.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. This is a fun one. This is by Livy, who we've featured now a few times on the podcast, growing star in Trekland. This is 2026 hiking trends and whether I think they're actually worth it. I think she highlights 8 different trends here. I'm just going to touch on a couple because I want you to go check out the article. One of them is sleeping pad inflators. She argues that this one is one of the best hiking luxury items to come out in years. A tiny 1-ounce device that spares you from hyperventilating into your sleeping pad after a brutal day on trail. Is it worth it? She was initially skeptical on these, and she now swears by them. Have you guys used one in the...
Yes, in 2017 at PCT Days, there was a contest to inflate a sleeping pad with them, and I played.
Nice.
This is one of my more conspiracy-esque theories, which is that I think that and this is from someone who like only recently was like, I'll bring a inflatable. I've been taking non-inflatable the whole time, but I wonder if there is a benefit in having to blow it up every night, because yes, it hurts your lungs, and yes, you would be saving like some hyperventilating, as she says, but does it then strengthen your lungs for your uphills on the next day's climb? That's what I always think when I'm inflating it. Is not like I'm doing it the hard way, and like I'm not against them, but instead of getting one, I'm like, I'm making myself stronger.
Yeah. I would not bank on that one. Maybe make a good core workout when you exhale really strong.
You don't think it like works your lungs at all?
When it's mostly the exhaling that you're doing it. I think the inhaling would be more of a, also just like 12 hours of backpacking is probably doing a pretty good job of that on its own. So.
I think it'd be, I use the bag inflator that comes with the Nemo tensor. I don't know if they come with other ones, but I think the inflators would be good for the longevity of your sleeping pad, because when you breathe directly into them, you put a bunch of bacteria and stuff into your sleeping pad, and that's where mold comes from. If you ever had a molding sleeping pad, it's because the like wetness and the bacteria from your mouth is going into there. Yeah.
I used one for the first time not
They're
that
great.
long ago. It is really nice.
They make it stupid easy.
It's once you try it, it is tough to go back to being the asshole who's like doing 35 full breaths to fill up your
It's like when you use one of those balloon pumps to blow up one of those like long balloons that they use for balloon animals, versus when you try to just blow one up. Yeah. And you're like, oh, wait, this is how it was supposed to work.
Yeah. The other one that I'm going to highlight of Livy's list is Alpha Direct. I'm glad to get her take on this because I've had some thoughts on it myself. She argues that the ultralight hiking community is right to rave about this one, calling it absurdly light while still being incredibly warm, breathable, and fast drying. The one caveat she raises is durability. The fabric can feel fragile for the price, especially over months on trail. And she mentions in the piece that she's gotten large holes in hers, which that has been my hesitation with it, is it feels like if it got snagged by a thorn of any kind, I mean, probably true for most fabrics, but especially alpha, yeah, it also seems like normal wear and tear is just gonna eat through that, whereas like a more traditional fleece is gonna last way longer.
Yeah, but if you're doing a through hike, are you looking for something to last way longer, or is it like one of those things where you just want it to last the trail? Because like a puffy jacket, like if I got my Ghost Whisperer for the PCT, I carried a different one on the AT, but when the trail was done, that thing was freaking shot. But I think the job it should have.
Yeah, but I think a through hike is a lot of wear, so you would want something that can
like hold up for that duration. Well,
at least the duration of the trail.
I'm just thinking like a puffy jacket. Like I've gotten a couple holes in the puffy jacket. If I got a couple holes in an alpha, I think it would be worth the trade-off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anywho,
I haven't worn it enough to feel strongly about it, but that has been my hesitation with Alpha Direct personally. But yeah, get the full list. Livy's done a ton of backpacking, and she's great. Question of the day. I'll let Chaunce do this one because this sounds insane, like something she would.
Okay, Zach doesn't understand this one, so I'm going to explain it a little more thoroughly. Would you rather have one raccoon know all of your secrets and occasionally hint at them, or one goose publicly overreact to everything you do? Now, to give you the background to the episode, we started talking before the show aired about how this doesn't seem realistic because if these animals could talk, then like we're not living in the land of the real. My interpretation of this is that these animals can't talk, but it's like, let's say you were like DMing someone on Instagram or like texting a girl on your phone and you're in a relationship and like that's naughty, right? This raccoon wouldn't be like going up to your girlfriend and being like, hey, he's cheating on you. This raccoon would take your phone and just put it on her lap. You know, like something that seems realistic. And like the goose, let's say the goose publicly overreacting to everything you do. The goose isn't being like, oh my God, this asshole every time you do something. The goose is just like making loud, obnoxious goose noises every time you do anything. Like imagine you make like the slightest quip, like the littlest joke. It's not that funny, but you just like
big ass honk.
And the thing is fucking laughing. And you're like, that didn't warrant that. And it's just following you around doing that every time you do something. Does that make sense?
No. A raccoon.
Makes sense to me.
You get it. What would you pick?
The raccoon.
I would pick the raccoon too.
This is also very poignant because raccoons remind me of Curtis. So I'm like, yeah. Have a raccoon show up all the time. That would make me so happy. And I also feel like I'm not a super secretive person, so I pretty much just like wear things out on my chest. So if I don't know what it would really be hinting at, but I think it'd be funny. And
I'm not trying to brag that like I'm winning the best person award. I don't think I am, but I don't have like that dark of secrets.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at too.
And so I'm like if a raccoon exposes me, it's gonna be exposing me for like showering less frequently than I let on.
Yeah.
That's not that harmful.
It's all stuff I like would probably tell you about and have a laugh about it with you anyway. So.
If a goose obnoxiously followed me around, it was just like laughing at all the wrong times or just like overreacting to everything I did, my mental health would go down the drain.
Yeah.
You just kill the goose.
Right. Well, so that there's your answer. At one of these animals, you are reacting with death, and one you're not. You wouldn't kill the raccoon.
Why not?
Just for handing Jenna your phone?
Well, you're supposing that's my secret. What if it's something like
he murdered somebody and the
it's
raccoon
pulling
starts
Zach's
cleaning
dildos out of his drawer and it's just leaving them all over?
I mean, classic raccoon
your
behavior.
Anal beads. Yeah, okay, it could be like that, but I don't know. I think that would be less like I wouldn't twitch and snap the way I would at a goose honking at everything I do.
Yeah.
That would really eat at my psyche after a certain point.
Okay.
Zach's not even gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, that one was stupid. Speaking of stupid, I have a stupid thing of the week, which is in my pursuit of now testing as many sun hoodies as possible. It's been slowed because I pulled my hamstring.
Ouch.
Running a wind sprint with my friends.
What's a wind sprint?
Just like a race. We were doing a 30-yard dash, and like I tried to warm up. I did like one leg swing, and then we got out of the gate, and immediately I just felt something pop.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you're saying a dash, did any of the, just because I know that this has happened to Garrett recently, it seems like a boy thing. Were you by any chance racing to see who was still faster?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. It always checks out.
Josh often asks me, he's like, do you think you could beat me in a 200-yard dash? And I'm like, no.
Well, you know when a guy's like, it was a sort of a sprint. You're like, you were racing. You wanted to see who was faster.
Yeah. He always asks me, and I'm like, but I could beat you in a 50-mile run.
Gary and his old housemate went to a track like
Yeah.
one day. Like they made
That's
it
very
like,
boy.
a thing. I
Very
love
boy.
that.
Mm-hmm. Very wholesome
Great.
boy.
Okay, so you did that and you ouchied?
The bigger issue is now that
You can't test this on
this,
honeys.
I can hike, so I'm
Yeah.
now at a place where I can hike. Also, shout out to BBC 157 because like my
Is that
progress is that's the like the peptide.
Sounds like a Star Wars droid.
Every day I can feel myself getting better. But
Nice.
I literally tried to go for a run before the podcast today, and I got like 20 yards into it, and I was like, no, I can't. And this was 10 days ago. So I'm realizing how much I actually love trail running because it allows me to actually get like a real workout in during the weekday pretty quickly, like 90 minutes, and I feel whooped. Whereas like hiking is now a day hike. It's just too slow for me.
Yeah, you have to like go for a long time before it feels like you did
Yeah.
a significant.
And I don't
Yeah.
have like 5 hours to
Mhm.
dedicate to get to that point anymore. So I'm really appreciating trail running. So when I'm healthy again, I think I'll be back with a vengeance. But yeah, fucking hamstring pull.
10 days isn't bad for a hamstring pull, though. That's pretty good. That it sounds like you're healing pretty quickly, at least.
I am actually very
Yeah.
amazed at like how rapidly I'm improving. Like each day I can feel it. I've also been leaning on AI to give me a little bit of a PT overview, but
Nice.
yeah, that I'm a fucking idiot is the moral of the story. Okay, let's do the triple crown of another thing that I can't wait to participate in. The triple crown of gear you can find that's girly.
I'm going first.
Go for it.
'Cause
Can I
you know
say
which
where
one.
this was inspired by?
And this is
Yeah,
sponsored by Onyx. Use our code TREK70 to get a 70% discount with a premium plan.
And this was, you guys were talking about Cameron a little
Yeah.
bit on an episode a while ago. And she recently posted a story that was like kind of just talking about how it can be hard to find gear that is in fun colors, basically.
So, okay, so when I did the PCT, the whole like Casa de Luna, Hawaiian shirt there was huge. And then we went to Walmart and I had found a Hawaiian shirt at Walmart or a thrift store, I can't remember where, that I kept hiking with, and that was fun. And then when I did the Colorado Trail, I was like, I want a new Hawaiian shirt for this. AT, I want a new Hawaiian shirt. I found one in the kids section at Walmart. Colorado Trail, I actually had time because I was section hiking it to put in effort. I went to REI. They had a bunch of fucking Hawaiian shirts in the men's section, none in the women's. And I know that the landscape has changed. This is 2018.
Yeah.
But in 2018, you could not find a single Hawaiian shirt in REI in a women's cut, or really any of the other outdoor brands out online. I bought a shirt from Tipsy Elves. It was Crustacean Vacation. It's blue and it has crabs on it in pink. And then I cut apart all the seams and I resewed it to be a women's fit. And I remember just like being pissed while I did it, that it was like, where do we not want fun? Do we not also like a Hawaiian print? You know, like what, we don't have one option. That made me so mad. So yeah, I like this triple crown, and I agree with what she's saying there, because I've gone through that frustration of it being like, it doesn't have to be pink or practical or pink and practical, but like, what about the fun prints? What about like the whimsy? What about like this is stupid but it's functional?
It's fun to just, I think, feel fun on trail.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is that
Being
not
able
in
to
our
bring
sizes?
some personal style, especially when it's an outfit on a thru hike you're wearing every single day. I got really into like wearing a skirt on the PCT. Found one I really loved. Yeah, same vibes.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say it again. I freaking love that girl's page, because it's like, I want to go out and wear my mascara.
Yeah.
And I don't wear it every day, even right now, but I love that she's owning herself. Anyway, triple crown of gear that you can find that's girly. I'm going first because I don't want this taken by anyone else, and it will be, and that's Hiker Kind. My girl Chelsea, she was on Patreon with us before she did the Colorado Trail, and she told us how she wanted to go start this company, and she did, and it's freaking crushing it, and it's got the cutest stuff that is both functional for trail and in town. And she's sent me a few pieces that I've tried and are great, and I've seen so many people on trail in that dress.
I wore my Hiker Kind dress on the Camino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know
love
the
that
dress.
thing.
That's
yeah,
why I had
it's
to
such
snatch
a
it.
cute cut. Yeah.
So
It doesn't come in pink, but it comes in at least green and yellow, I know.
yeah.
And it's a cute cut, and yeah. It's very functional too. It dries really well, which is nice. It has pockets,
Yeah.
which is helpful.
I wonder if brands fear pink because of the pink it and shrink it. You know, where it's like there's a stigma around taking a version of something and just making it pink.
I found some cute pink stuff in research for this Triple Crown, so I don't know.
But anywho, yeah, the dresses are great. The colors are also good. Like the yellow is a cute yellow.
Yeah.
It's not a obnoxious yellow.
You want to go, Elise?
Sure. I feel like I'm surprised Chaunce didn't take this one, but I was going to say Enlightened Equipment quilts, because you can customize them. I think they have purple, pink, teal. They have a lot of different colors. I think a theme for me might end up being like a lot of the UL customizable brands, but those quilts, you can do a lot with them.
I was trying to think about which way I would go with these. Zach's next, but that's the customizing, the options.
There's a lot
that
of
you
cottage
customize.
brands that you can,
That's
which
a good
does
one.
require more time. You can't just get it in town. I have a few that are more quickly accessible, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with former guest of the podcast, Symbiosis Gear from Sarah.
Yep. She does. You said another word.
Yeah, I was going to say Katie Jackson is a big proponent of her Symbiosis Gear backpack, and she's done a shit ton of backpacking, very smart about gear, so it's a good endorsement.
They do specific like women's cuts backpacks that are sized and fit.
I think they're all women's cuts backpacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They do specifically women's cuts backpacks that are like sized and specific to women's body types and shapes, which is cool. I've gotten to try one on. And it fits really snug, so that's a good one.
Cooler Cloth.
That's a good one too.
The original girl equipment stuff.
And they have all sorts of patterns and stuff. So if you're looking more in like a color category mindset, that they have endless options. Yeah. Nice. Oh, and me again. I'll go slightly different because I think I'm deciding, sorry. Customizable packs, easy, low-hanging fruit, but like Nashville packs, neighborhood packs, Superior Wilderness Designs, Exotic Paco. I just saw one they posted that was also a former guest of the podcast, Janice Joplin, is who makes those, and they made this really beautiful like purple and like floral backpack, and it had like running vest style straps. But anywhere that you can get a customizable pack, you can probably get a fabric color that you enjoy and is functional as well. So that's a big one.
Yeah, I agree. I like you taking that category in general because we could name each one that does it, but we're kind of naming the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So I like that. My next one is Cotopaxi. I think that the multicolor like style vibe they go with is very fun, and I think it all depends on which one you grab. Like I would be hesitant to buy online from them because everyone I've heard something that said like when they mix together the different colors, like they let the people that are sewing choose which colors to mix together, and
temporary what am I trying to
words.
Yeah, I can't think of them right now.
One.
Temporary potential
glitch
in the tech,
or pre-plotted and intentional sabotage.
No new guest co-hosts after Chaunce.
I would say
Taken out of
that
Chaunce's
was
pay.
kind of graceful. I'd call that graceful. I just spilled my can of Coke Zero.
You fully Zambonied it off the. Is that the switchboard?
What was I gonna do? Let the switchboard fry?
Yeah.
Zach went to move it. I was like, "Move! I got this."
Chaunce Zambonied off.
Okay, yeah. I've heard that they get to pick which colors they mix together, and so everyone's different because they just get to like pull it. You know,
if you order it online, it's just you get whatever you get.
But if you're getting them in store, like you can find ones that have like all your favorite colors together, and that for me is so fun. I've got one windbreaker from them that brings me joy whenever I see it because it's just all my happy colors. So them, and then my next one, I'm going a little out of the box on this one, and maybe I'll get crucified, but this is gear you can find that's girly. I'm taking gear to be more clothes than backpacks in this context, and I'm gonna say Abercrombie, and you can come at me for that, but they have a line called YPB that I've gotten to try some pieces from. I wore their leggings on the Foothills Trail. I've worn some of their stuff on other trails, either as bras or as tank tops. They're durable, they're moisture wicking, they work, and I get that it's easy to be like, it's a women's fashion brand, but I will say Abercrombie & Fitch started off in New York as a camping and outdoors company. That doesn't really like make it anything right now, but their outdoor line is very cute, and I've worn it on hikes that are 50 plus miles, and I say 50 plus because the Foothills was 72, but I've worn it on other things too. But I have liked their stuff, but it's more I would say more it's stuff like, let's say you're not through hiking for 6 months and you're looking for something to gear up with for that 6 months, but let's say you like to hike, but you also go to yoga in town and you do walks around your neighborhood park and stuff like that. That would be where I would consider this category. Is for me, sometimes it's weird to buy so much outdoor gear and spend so much time in town and not on a through hike, because it's like I'm buying for who I want to be, not who I currently am. And I feel like a lot of their stuff functions really well on trail and then also functions really well in the real world. And so if you are at terms with reality and that you are like more of a town person at whatever phase of life you're in, when that might happen, it's a good double up on. I've done it for both. Mm-hmm. But yeah, whatever.
Nice. Are there any financial disclosures with that one?
No, because they're not buying anything from me. I mean, if you buy something through my Instagram story with a link that I post, it would be an affiliate. But if it's not that, they're not paying me to say this.
Okay. You still have to disclose that.
Okay, well then disclosed.
Okay.
Through pack?
Yes. I thought we were going to be on my list.
Nice. Sticking with the customizable
yes.
stuff, but fanny pack is kind of front and center, like on your fit. Yep. So being able to choose the colors for that is really nice. Plus, the guy who like runs it and owns it,
great guy.
He's awesome. So you're supporting a cool business, and yeah, you can customize the color of the pack, the pocket, the belt.
And the size, like the size of the pack and the shape of the pack is huge too. Because I feel like when you're walking, sometimes it it slaps.
If you have a big one,
yeah. If you have a big one, it slaps while you walk. And so when that happens, maybe you would prefer a different shape with less slappage, and you got options there.
Yeah.
Last one for me is Skita.
I have them on my list.
hats. Yeah. I see those every time I go to trail days. I see them especially popping up everywhere. Seem quite popular, and
they have awesome patterns.
Yeah,
and they do buffs and stuff too.
Oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Can I do a few quick
honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do rapid fire. Through looking for stuff for this, I found out Z-Packs makes an Arcol in pink. Not my favorite pack, but I did carry an Arcol on the entire PCT, so it works. But and they make one in pink now. Lightheart Gear makes a duo sil nylon tent that is pink. You can find it on Garage Grown Gear. Sam Bob, again, you can customize fleeces, or I know he has lines that are already have like fun colors pre-made. And then Frog Togs comes in a bunch of different colors if you buy them online. It's hard to find the colors in the store, but they make a full pink set.
Really?
Too. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great to know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really useful because I didn't know there were so many that made pink. I've got one honorable mention, and that is my good friend Heidi, aka Sketching Summits. If you haven't seen her art, you should look it up because it's incredible, and she's always at trail days. So if you're an AT person, you probably know of her. But she just did a collab with Jolly,
cool.
Jolly Gear,
yeah.
And it's on pre-order now. So by the time this goes out, it might be available for bye-bye. But you should look up Sketching Summits and Jolly Gear because they took one of her pieces of artwork and they put it on a Jolly Sun hoodie, and I've already pre-ordered mine. It's the cutest thing.
Cute.
Mailbag.
Commit to that once I started.
Can you share some tips for backpacking as a contacts user? I hate hiking in glasses and have super high prescription, but I'm so worried about getting some kind of eye infection, even using alcohol wipes obsessively when putting in and taking out my contacts on a backpacking trip. Would love some advice. Thank you, from Zoe. Elise, do you wear contacts when you backpack?
I haven't, but I might in the future. One thing that I will say, and then I'm going to pass it on to you if you wear them more, would be I recently at the bar got in a conversation with someone who is a microbiologist, something along those lines, that we were talking about noro actually, and how hand washing is actually what gets rid of noro, not hand sanitizer. And so I think my takeaway from that conversation is if you can pour some water onto your hands from your water bottle and use soap. A lot of the times it's about getting the reason hand washing works is because it gets rid of the capsules, like of whatever the bacteria or whatever the thing is, gets it off your hands. So if you can rinse your hands, that would be a big help, I think.
Rachel also gave a little note here because I don't like touching my eyes, so I wear my glasses, and if I'm not wearing my glasses, I just guess. And Zach, you have good vision.
I just raw dog it in life.
So Rachel said, I wear monthly contacts, meaning I take them out overnight, but they aren't daily disposables. I carry travel size contact solution bottles that I can replace in town that aren't too heavy. I never wear glasses even in normal life, so contacts on trail are a given. I've never had an issue with them or any infections while backpacking, and I would not describe myself as obsessive about wipes like that. Though I definitely should be better about hygiene, and this is obviously one person's anecdotal experience, my minor tip is not hygiene related. But I sleep with the contact case in my sleeping bag because putting cold contacts on your eyes in the morning is less than pleasant. I never would have considered that.
Yeah,
that
and also
terrible.
if it freezes, then you're screwed.
Oh my god, frozen eyeballs?
That's a good tip.
I can't picture. Can you picture what a cold eyeball feels like?
Not good.
Yeah. And then it looks like Katie also wrote an article, Glasses versus Contacts for Through Hiking, by Katie Jackson on the Trek. And then Trail Things I'm Not Falling For in 2026, Contacts by a Mechanic.
Yes.
So maybe more from the perspective of not wearing contacts.
And Katie mentions, and this is kind of surprising because I feel like most people I know prefer glasses, but she says she prefers contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So teach their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5-star. You guys can, thank you for the email from Zoe. You can have your email read on the podcast@thetrek.co, or go to the contact form at backpackerradio.com. 5-star review. This is from Historyman 1981 ! New opportunity. Congrats are your next adventure. As someone who recently moved from Buffalo, go Bills, to Boston, I know the ups and downs of moving. This is a great time to expand the Trek's footprint by having your own podcast. Living in another area can be a way to interview a wider variety of people in person. Living closer to the AT can also be a bonus for more content. Though the podcast will never be the same, I believe change is important for growth. I will always be a diehard fan.
Oh.
Thank you to History Man.
Yeah, thanks, History Man. That was nice.
You guys can have your reviews around this podcast. Just head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars.
Just not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Screenshot it. Send us an email, podcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a Backpacker Radio sticker. Shout out to today's title sponsors. That is LMNT. Go to drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. I've been housing the iced tea of late. It is awesome. It's nice as like a morning electrolyte during a workout to get 50 milligrams of caffeine, which is their first venture into caffeine. It's really good. I like it. The lemonade is still probably the one I consume the most of right now. But yeah, Element is the jam. If you're sweating a lot, consider getting some Element in your life.
I still haven't gone past pink lemonade. I had an iced tea to try it so that I could say that it was good because I wanted to try it to say that. But I still I haven't taken the nice things out of the box. I just put them back into the box because they sent us like a picture and some fun things with it. But I feel like I've never not liked an Element flavor. I've just gone through phases of like really liking one and then I switched to really liking another. And so while I'm in this phase of really liking pink lemonade, I just don't want to leave it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I get
Strike
that they
while
put
the iron's
out
hot.
iced tea and that iced tea is also really good, but they put out a really good flavor too close to another really good flavor, and I'm not done obsessing over pink lemonade first. So
But that's exciting for my summer because that means that I have more to look forward to. So yeah. And I, as someone who's not on trail as frequently as I have been in other periods of life, I like to use LMNT as a drink before bed on a night that I've had some alcohol. I've found that as I get older, not my tolerance, but my threshold for sensitivity around alcohol is smaller, whereas like I'll wake up feeling like shit with a lot less cause than maybe I would have in previous years, which is fucked up. But if I am cognizant about drinking some of this before bed, it really does help the hangover in that Garrett will be miserable and I won't. And like, we're not going out and binge drinking. I will get these feelings from like having 2 or 3 beers, which sucks. But it is nice to know that if I have one of these, it does help and I can feel confident in that.
drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. Thank you to LMNT for sponsoring us as always. And a shout out to Onyx Backcountry. Fucking love that app. I've been using it on my day hikes and trail runs out here when my hamstring permits. Use code TREK70 for 70% off a premium
70?
plan. 70.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. Yeah. Elise put together the most recent screen grab of our Instagram story, and yeah, just showcasing how easy it is to build a custom route.
So nice to be able to do custom routes, to like know what distance you're getting yourself into through any given day. That's like, yeah. Clutch for me.
And that 3D feature is really it's just fun to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself getting lost in the sauce there. No pun intended, I guess, pun intended. Super big thank you to our Bob Peoples Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Bill Jensen, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Mullins, a.k.a. Cruzy, Brian Alsop,
Fables.
Carl Lobster Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Clinton Sittler, Coach from Rain Outdoors, Eric Casper,
Friendly Ghost.
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Griffin Hay, would you bring me a beer? Haley Buckingham,
Palace.
Jackson Storm,
Trooper.
Jared Knott from Subway, Jason Kaiser, Jason, Zach is a little donkey girl snailer, Luke Netjez, Maddie in Arizona, Patrick C. in Seattle, Randy Sutherland, Rebecca Brave, Rural Juror, Sawyer Products, the St. Louis Shaman, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Trigger.
You didn't say Braveheart.
Fuck. We'll get
It's fine.
next time. Thanks to our guy Paulie at Old Man Murph's Coffee Roasters. Go to ommcr.com. Get yourself some delicious beans. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok and Threads, right, Elise?
Yeah, Threads.
Are we threading
We're on
it up?
Threads now.
Does it auto post? Is that the deal?
No. I mean, no.
Oh, because I know there's a setting where you can like every post that you do on one platform goes
Yes.
to
So I put all of our clips go on there for sure. So yes, but and then also we do our like question of the day and Triple Crowns. If you like to participate in those, they go on Threads as well. And so do our weekly reminders and like where to find the guests and stuff like that. So.
Do you use Threads? I don't know if I've ever.
I do. I've actually started posting more on Threads recently, which is like new for me. I've liked to read it for a while now. I used to be a big Twitter person.
Really?
Obviously, then
There's
when it
a
became X, I
correlation.
just stopped. But yeah, and then now Threads. They've got me with the like excerpts that they put on Instagram,
So
and then
that's
They
what I
do
was
make them
gonna say.
traps
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
and-
I think that they're posts, and then I click them to like scroll the carousel, and it takes me to the different app, and I'm like, you got
well,
me.
now I just scroll Threads too. So
I just can't put my thoughts into like a post of my thought.
mm-hmm.
My
for
thoughts
me
are
so
so
far,
cringy.
it's just been like that's might be where the beauty lies.
Yeah.
It's cool because you can. It almost is starting to remind me of Reddit a little bit. Because there's threads you can that if you're like interested in certain things, it'll pop up more. And
Do they have like threaded comments where good comments get upvoted?
I think the more likes a response gets, I think it shows up higher.
Okay.
I'm not entirely certain if that's exactly how it works, but like you can post in a category basically. So, like I just posted in CPAP users. I don't know if you have to
they
go
have,
and
like,
look.
Subreddit.
Is it like
Sort of, yeah. I don't
Interesting.
know if it works exactly the same way, but it's similar. It seems like I'm not an expert by any means, but
You're our expert.
Yeah, that's more than we know.
Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube.
Hi, Internet.
That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.